that should be good. All right, I'm streaming.
Was it just me or was Ragnar? Oh shoot! Oh, we gonna talk about that. Ragnar. Oh no! Oh no! Someone says you got to be brain dead to think Spider-Man 2 getting Game of the Year. That's crazy.
Who said that?
What did they say?
I think just someone in the chat. They said you got to be brain dead to think Spider-Man 2 is getting Game of the Year, and I was like, we gonna chat about that. Me and Colin probably got a pretty similar. We waiting on somebody, or we just?
No, I was just gonna let the chat roll in for a little bit.
Oh no, I got you.
Let Collins live kick in a little bit.
No, I got you. Colin, are you doing it on Twitch or are you doing it?
I'm on YouTube because that's where most of my audience is.
I keep forgetting that. That's also my next. So just me or was Ragnarok kind of underwhelming? I definitely would not agree with that. I guess from a story perspective, I think so, because I feel like 2018 was definitely a little bit tighter. Ragnarok does everything better gameplay wise. So
I honestly think it does everything better. Everything.
Yeah.
I understand what people mean with the tight story. Like, I've kind of loosened my stance on that. Like, when the game first came out and I just played that story for the first time, I was like, dude, this thing is fucking phenomenal. And then and then the more and more I started to hear critiques about the story, and I was like, okay, I can understand why people think 2018 is a better story.
Sure.
But like me personally, the way they introduce so many different characters and they fill in their spot in the story and their role in the story so well, so perfectly, they don't feel like they take up too much time. They contribute to the world building and the other characters without making anything feel overcrowded.
Yeah,
I just think they handled that so well, and
I wouldn't disagree.
It's just all those personalities. I just preferred that to called 2018 story. I also like Thor and Odin.
Dude, Thor is better than Odin to me, in my opinion. Thor was the real was the star.
I would agree to an extent, but at the same time, Odin had more screen time, and I feel like he was more. I mean, they're both equally just as interesting. Thor was
kind of a pawn, but I mean,
they're both equally just as interesting, honestly.
Yeah. Now, I'm always like, it's nothing against Ragnarok or anything. I prefer a little bit like smaller scaled stories, and 2018, just the simplicity of, the idea. I always just lean a little bit more towards those, but I still think Ragnarok's great. Absolutely no question.
Someone said,
my wife watched my entire playthrough of Ragnarok.
Someone asked if y'all have played Infamous. I have only played Second Son as of recent memory.
You're kidding! You're kidding! No way.
Are more of into
John T, you played Infamous 1 and 2. Can you hear us?
Yeah, man. Yeah, Infamous 1 and 2 are like some of my favorite PS3 games. Like literally, like grew up with and it was like, it's just like because I grew up with Sly Cooper. So when Infamous came out, it was like this like Sly Cooper-esque adult game, because you could feel the DNA of Sly Cooper in the parkour and stuff in Infamous. Like,
no doubt.
It just felt like I was like, oh yeah, this is like a modern Sucker Punch game. Like, it just
Sucker Punch is such a talented studio. I am itching for their next thing. I don't care what it is, but
and it was like I think Infamous 1 was like the first time where like the karma was like, at least the first time I saw it anyway, like karma in a mainstream-ish game, not just like some PC game, where karma would actually like affect the world. Like the more evil you were, the more like homeless people were on the street and dirty the city was, and the weather changed. And...
I made a video, like it was like my first YouTube video I ever made. It was about how I think Spider-Man 2 could implement something like that with the crime system to make it more interesting. But I don't think Insomniac wants to, because Insomniac likes to tell a set story. They don't really want you branching out. They kind of just want to tell the story that they want you to see.
100%.
Even though it's the perfect time for it with the symbiote, it's the perfect time for a karma system.
I would love to see it, but I'm not gonna be impressed if it's not in there.
Yeah, I agree. It ain't gonna do anything for me. It'd be cool to see though, So Yeah, will Silk Song come out this year? God, I wish, but I'm sweating about that.
It's
I
like
don't have any of Jonty. Have you played Hollow Knight, or have you not played Hollow Knight?
I haven't finished it. Like I played maybe like halfway through it. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Metroidvania style games.
I think I remember us talking about that before.
I really like Dead Cells. Dead Cells is one of my favorites.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Hollow Knight. I don't know. I don't know if it was just the level design confused the fuck out of me or what. But that's not the level design, but the map. Like
that's literally what it was for me. I played it for like an hour and a half. I was kind of just sitting there listening to music. Because I saw you praising it so much, so I was like, all right, maybe I'll get us a shot. So I was just sitting there listening to music, and I was like, dude, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, I couldn't figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do.
I think the learning curve is like steep, and it takes a while, like definitely a good while before you get a lot of like your big abilities and stuff. But like once they kick in, man, I mean like. And it's got some crazy DLC with like amazing bosses. Like I feel like if I could show y'all like, you know, get you to a specific point, you'd be like in love with it. But like, it is hard to recommend to even like a couple of my buddies who like maybe not game as much. And like, it's again, the learning curve is just very steep. So like, I get it. Cause like you just have the jump and your one nail swipe for like 7 hours. Like
yeah, it's like someone brought up the point like why, because like I'm like kind of out there. I'm not like the biggest fan of Souls games, and someone brought up the point to me in one of my comments.
Right.
It's like those games are really made for people who are like extrinsically motivated, I think the word is. Whereas something like God of War is something for people who are intrinsically motivated. So like they have something like, you know how God of War story is like something that keeps the person like going through the missions and the levels, whereas a game like Elden Ring, you're kind of just doing it because you just want to do it. And that's kind of how I felt with Hollow Knight, especially since like it's so hard for me to follow a story that uses text boxes to like convey dialogue.
Yeah,
it's so hard for me to follow or care about that stuff.
That's why, like, bro, like, even like, anything like, bro, anytime I play Zelda, man, I'm mashing the skip button, bro. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care.
I was paying attention to certain parts of that game's story. Because I wanted to make a review for it, so I had to pay attention to the story if I was going to criticize it. But there's just and even with Final Fantasy, I started to do the same shit. I was like, dude, I don't care anymore.
Like I said, that's where we'll dip into those your topic later. But that's definitely like that's part of where I can see where that argument has some legs. Like, you know what I mean? So what is the what do we want to dip into first? Jonty, you gonna take it?
Yeah, the first topic we've got is, I guess, like, I don't know. We can talk more largely about this, but I guess a better question to just open with: what do you guys think is more important in a video game, story or gameplay?
Do you want to go first, Jacob?
I can. I will. I don't know if I've got the most black and white answer. Like I said, I was literally working on a TikTok on it today because like it doesn't make sense, and I think it's. Again, I'm gonna give you that stupid answer because I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. As far as like in a perfect world, like obviously we're gonna have both great ones. Like for me, I think Jonty thinks a little bit differently. God of War 2018, Ragnarok, Last of Us, those are games that I think have amazing stories, but like they're not bad. You know, they're not walking simulators. Like you know, they have actual good combat with. You know, maybe not Devil May Cry 5 deep mechanics, but like, they're good mechanics, like in the God of War, and that works for me. I love that. But like for, you know, I love a game like Hollow Knight and Cuphead. You know, they have no story, but their gameplay is so much fun, and they've got more than just like cool gameplay. They've got great boss battles, you know, amazing art design, and like amazing soundtracks. Super Mario Galaxy is in my top 10 video games of all time. And there's a storybook, sure, but there's not a narrative to that. But the platforming is incredible. The atmosphere and just the way that I feel when I play it is like unmatched. So it's like I'm not the kind of guy who like I don't want all my games to be the same. Like I love games that just have like Sifu, God tier hand-to-hand combat. okay story, you know, nothing crazy. And I love it. It was one of my favorite games of last year. So like I am inclined to say like I love, because like, buddy, when there's a great story, like I'm locked in, like Last of Us, you know what I mean? But like we don't get a lot of like hefty stories like that. So I like I said, I give a crap answer, if you will, but it's just like, I think it's just more nuanced than that. Just like, you know, like, oh, like you can only, you know, I'd rather have story, I'd rather have gameplay. It's like I can have, you know, I'm okay with different games having stronger elements of one and the other. But again, like I'd love to have both. That'd be nice. But
I think
not every game needs it, you know, like
it's like, I think it also comes down to like the development cycle. It's like there's gonna be games that have both incredible stories, like, or for me personally, it's like God of War Ragnarok, or Ghost of Tsushima, Jedi Survivor, Spider-Man. Like those are games
right.
like just examples of games that I think have incredible stories and incredible gameplay.
I agree.
It's like when you focus more on like you said, like when you focus more on one element of that, like you want to tell a stronger story, sometimes that conflicts with game design and like level design, gameplay mechanics, things like that. And like a lot of developers also may care about ludonarrative dissonance. So like say Spider-Man 2, for example, say people wanted to like throw cars like you can in Web of Shadows. Like I don't think Insomniac wants to do that, like, because that's some major ludonarrative dissonance. But then to your point about like how you feel when you're playing games, like because games have like incredible level design, boss fights, atmosphere. I was thinking of Hi-Fi Rush right there. Yeah, because like I went into that game, I didn't know what the hell I was expecting, to be honest. And like when I got into it, I was like, okay, the story seems okay. But then when I started playing with the combat, I was like, dude, this is just addicting. Like, and I just completely forgot about story at that point. I was like, dude, I don't care if the story is a 0 out of 10. This game is fucking amazing.
So, I think if you swing hard on one way, like you can get away with it. You know what I mean? Like again, The Last of Us, is its combat revolutionary? No, like it's very standard. You know, you mash square, you press triangle to counter, and you've got your, you know, your typical shooting. But it's like the narrative is so ridiculously strong that like I really don't care, and I don't need the you know, I don't need DMC5 level mechanics, you know, in a game like The Last of Us. I just don't. So like I said, that's just me, because like I said, I like an assortment of different types of games. I don't want all my games to be the same. So like I'm okay with having some that are stronger. I think a more important thing is, like, I know Jonty would probably agree, and I'll, you know, obviously you go next because I think I know your answer. But like, are you worried about like current state of like, do you think gaming now is just leaning more towards like majorly narrative driven rather than gameplay driven?
Oh, 100%. Like at the maybe not indie games like and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I disregard those.
I think I think the mainstream industry is 100% leaning more towards story. Like if you don't have, and it could go hand in hand with now, and it's a good thing because single player games have come back. Like it's good that single player games and linear stories have like become popular again. And I don't know if like
maybe I'll respond to
and it probably leads into some of our other topics, but I think Sony is a big reason for that, for better and for
sorry if I'm not reading the chat. It's kind of hard to read that and hold the conversation at the same time.
Yeah, I definitely think the mainstream industry is leading more towards being story focused for sure.
Yeah, like, no doubt.
Because even like those big multiplayer games. Yeah, even like those big multiplayer like I don't know, man. Like, and I'm not in that community anymore, but like, I used to be mad into Call of Duty, and like nowadays, I could give less of a shit about it. And I know my friends are the same. Like, no one gives a shit about it anymore.
I honestly don't think that comes from aging. I think it literally just comes from the games just getting worse map designs. Where the gameplay is way more sluggish than it used to be. Like, if I've played Black Ops 2 semi recently, and it still feels better gunplay wise than the newer Call of Duties. It's because they're like trying to add realism to it. It's like the older Call of Duty still feels so much better, especially with their map design. And another part of it, comes down to nostalgia. But
100%.
But it's also like I just feel like those older Call of Duties were so much better, and they just keep recycling the same formula and doing it worse. I feel like.
No, I get you.
Might show a bit of love to the chats here because I've got your chat up as well, Colin, and the difference in my chat and yours when we ask the question of story versus gameplay is pretty. My whole chat is like gameplay, low diff, gameplay. But then some of your chat was like, I saw a guy in your chat say,
it's so hard to look at chat.
Story, and it's not even close. Yeah. Story had me engaged in older games. We can revisit Halo 1, even though the gameplay was mid. The story was solid. I wouldn't say Halo 1's gameplay is mid, but anyway.
I would.
Really?
Oh my god. Oh, dude.
To that point,
it is average at best nowadays because I never played Halo growing up, ever.
This is
Everyone keeps telling me to play Halo 2 and see if it's better. It's like a hot take of mine. I really, really do not like Combat Evolved, like at all. It is bland. I mean, like,
what's your like preferred Halo game then?
I've only played Combat Evolved.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say because like you probably won't like the others because they're pretty much all the others are built off the foundation of.
Yeah, like I've played Infinite when it went free, and like I mean, again, Halo playing like LAN, you know, like that's always fun, you know, like what I like. Because like the problem is too, because like me and this guy, a mutual of mine, Josh, I think he like stitched a video of mine because like. People like it's okay to be like, hey, this game influenced, you know, a ton of games, but it's like it doesn't mean it's the best overall.
Oh my god,
like,
I hate that.
If you think Halo Combat Evolved is the best first person shooter, like more power to you. But like I think that's wild.
It's definitely not. No.
I honestly hate that talking point. It's like, oh, you can give respect to the things that came before, like with Arkham, right? Or actually, we could talk about that later because that's another talking point. But it's like, I can't stand the people that say that game or Spider-Man is just a complete ripoff of Arkham. Like, dude, have you even played this shit? Like, what are you? And then another thing, it's like, this movie did so and so before. Like, this isn't really a game, but it kind of relates to the topic. But it's like this movie did so and so first. It's like, okay, movies wouldn't exist without the camera. It's like. The invention of the camera. It's like it doesn't matter if something did something first. If something comes along later and does that thing better,
I agree.
It's like
I agree. Like I said,
so do you think that shouldn't bear into a game's rating then?
No,
okay. So to that point, does that mean you think older games that haven't aged well, their rating is pulled down because it's not as, you know, like games are less clunky.
Right.
Like now, so if a game's like clunky, but it was good for its time, you still would rate it lower? Is that your process?
Yeah, I believe in keeping, if you're gonna, I was talking to you about this before, but like, I feel like if you're gonna hold a game to the same standard as another game, you have to hold it to the same standard. You can't just be like, oh, well, it was good for its time. Okay, well, how does it hold up against the thing that's here? If you're comparing it to this thing, you have to hold it to the same standard. That's why I was like talking about with like Tears of the Kingdom and how it's at like 30 FPS. I mean, if you want to say that game's in the Game of the Year conversation and then rag on like another game for being at 30 FPS, I'm like, okay, if you're gonna hold that game to the same standard, then hold it to the same standard. It does,
especially when it's $70.
Yeah, it's like you said it's like you don't really care because it's like a handheld console. It's only like $100 less than a PS5 digital, and the game's still $70.
Yeah, it's the same price as a Series S too, which is crazy. Which will at least run like 1440p, and I think it runs 100. I think it runs up to 120 FPS. I'm not sure. I'm almost positive it does. But no, Jonty, I think like I struggle with that too, because like, okay, play a game like Dead Space. You boot up the original Dead Space, not even the remake. That thing is awesome. It plays so good and holds up insanely well. You play other games, and it's like, again, it's okay to be like, all right, this game had a big influence on something, but it's like I said, that doesn't make it one of the great, like, in my opinion, like, especially because like for somebody like myself, I'm never gonna get that Halo experience that everybody else had growing up. So it's like I can only speak for how it feels to play now, and it just doesn't feel that.
That's
good
how I
to
feel
me.
with
like,
BioShock, the first one, because like,
oh,
and
no,
that's no, but that's kind of a. It's like I wanted to talk about it earlier. But it's like I think that game has a great story. I don't remember it off the top of my head because I've played it once and that was like a couple months ago.
Masterpiece of a story, masterpiece.
Yeah, I wouldn't say masterpiece. I think it's a really great story, but I think there's multiple games that I have ahead of it, like by.
I'm with you, John T. I'm with you on this one. I love me. BioShock like got me into gaming. Like almost.
It is the quintessential like, and what I admire so much about the way it tells its story is it doesn't use cinematic techniques to tell it. It uses the medium of a game and exploration and environmental storytelling. That's what I really admire about BioShock, more than a game that has a lot of cutscenes or really well directed. Like it just that looks like a movie. To be frank,
no,
I think
I understand that point. It's like, but like, there's also certain points where I'm on your side. Like. I was talking to you about this with the Guardians of the Galaxy game, as well as BioShock. Like both of those games, I think have great stories, but the gameplay was so fucking boring to me that I legitimately just wanted to stop playing and watch the rest on YouTube. Watch the rest of the story on YouTube.
Man,
damn. God.
But see, like,
did you make it to Fort Frolic? Did you make it to Fort Frolic?
I continued.
You beat the game.
Yeah, I beat BioShock, but I'm saying it came to a point where the gameplay was so boring that I just wanted to stop playing.
I can't fathom that when you play games like Last of Us. And
now you know how I feel when you talk about.
I don't understand. Like how can that be boring when you play games like God of War with like walking and like I don't know, like brain dead puzzles and like I just don't understand. Like
I think that's kind of like the combat point. It's like I would rather play God of War's combat system for 12 hours straight than play BioShock for 30 minutes.
But maybe you're just not into like
I'm not. I've said this multiple times.
Yeah.
First person and third person shooters, I've played them for so long, they get so stale so easily to me. I still like them. Like Resident Evil 4, for example, Dead Space, The Last of Us. I still like them, but that gameplay to me is just like, except for like Sunset Overdrive. Sunset Overdrive kind of breaks that.
Bro, that game's
heat.
Bro. Oh, I love Sunset. I'm like, everyone literally. It's so funny how many comments I get. Everyone thinking I'm a Sony fanboy, and it's like, dude, I just play good games, and it's like Sony just happens to make a lot of games that I like, and it's like I wish Xbox actually still made games instead of just popping Halo and Gears every so often.
It's
they got a couple good lineups coming up within their that they showed that I'm really looking forward to. But like Sunset Overdrive, like that's my favorite Xbox game, and that was made in I think 2014. I think it was
13. But I was gonna say it's like most of it comes down to just like peanut brains on TikTok that literally just it's like, dude, I said in my Starfield video, I was like, dude, the PlayStation Showcase sucked, but I just liked it more than Xbox because Xbox didn't show any games that impressed me because it had Phantom Blade and Spider-Man 2, and it's like, oh, you're just a Sony meat rider. I'm like, dude, I said in the same video, I said Hi-Fi Rush was a masterpiece, and I said that Sony Showcase sucked. So I'm like, what's not clicking in your head about me saying that? Like, it makes no sense to me. And like recently, Caboose, I know Deadbeat saw it, but like, do you know who Caboose is?
That clown, bro.
Jason? I said Jason.
No.
He makes all the videos for like Warner Brothers games and stuff. Like he did like a whole bunch of like Injustice and Mortal Kombat, and then now he does like superhero game content.
He's pretty much just a news. He's just
he's on YouTube a lot.
News channel.
The main thing.
But he was responding to a tweet of someone saying, the exact same swinging animations for Peter in Spider-Man 2. Wow. And the dude was like, hold on, I can pull up the tweet real quick.
He got so butthurt. Like I called him out when he was still hyping up Gotham Knights, and he even made a video defending the 30 frames a second decision that they ended up going with for Gotham Knights. Because I swear, like, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I swear he's just in Warner Brothers' back pocket, bro. Like, I don't know, like it just feels like he's a mouth that they're puppeting.
That's what's happening with Starfield too. When they came out and said it's at 30, everyone was like, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't. And I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, okay, like that's whatever.
It's insane. But what gets me about Oh, sorry, Colin, go on.
I was gonna say the Caboose dude said, yes, the seasoned Spider-Man who's been swinging around New York for almost 10 years canonically should suddenly overhaul the way he moves. I'm gonna go outside and try a new walking animation. I'm like, dude, how are you in why are you in this position that you're in if you don't even want the game to improve? Like, how are you gonna sit here and say you don't want, or we don't need new swinging animations for the game to feel fresh, variated? Like, it is objectively an improvement to add more swinging animations and to make, like, to just vary up the things that you're seeing, so you're not just seeing the same animations play over and over again. So if you do that, like, if you add in those new animations, like, that's why Miles Morales is, like, a lot more liked, like, that swinging system is a lot more liked than Spider-Man PS4's web swinging. It's because they added in all these new air tricks, animations, the shit was smoother. It's like, I don't know how you would not want, or you wouldn't have a problem with not getting new swinging animations. Like, it's an objective improvement.
No, hang on, I just got a tip. He said Jacob with Incredibles in the background, massive W.
I was hoping my wife put it on, and I was like, I hope somebody's seeing the masterpiece.
I think someone pointed it out in Colin's chat as well. He said, I feel Resident Evil 4. He said, I feel Resident Evil 4 is a perfect example where really good gameplay can outshine a decent to average story. One of the reasons why RE4 is in my top 10. That's absolute facts, but I also think that Resident Evil 4's story is still good if you look at it from the sense that it's a corny ass, like cheesy horror movie. Like, if you treat it like that, it's engaging. Nah, I disagree. I think it's not some cinematic masterpiece trying to sell some deep themes or anything like that. But if you take it for what it is, as a goofy action game, it's good, and Devil May Cry is the same. Like, I don't see. Capcom does that a lot. Like, I feel like that's just a Japanese type thing.
I would disagree. I don't know. I would
disagree. Different strokes with different.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like, it's like that, but it's like trying to compare, like, Step Brothers to, like, The Dark Knight or some shit. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
It's like it's a fun movie. Like, Step Brothers is a great comedy movie, but it's not. It doesn't have any substance in its story or anything. It's like, and with Resident Evil 4, it wasn't even funny to me. Like, it wasn't corny enough to make me laugh. Like, it genuinely was just cringy to me. There was a point in the story, I still remember it because it's just one of the corniest things I've ever heard in my life. It's like, you know those big baby things, the boss fight with, like, the wolf, and you have to fight that big ginormous thing. One of those things, like, threw like a rock at Leon, and he's like, "Shit, Sir Ugly's got me beat." I'm like,
yeah, it's not
so corny though. That's what's funny about it.
It's corny. There's corny. All right, there's funny corny. Like Spider-Man, for example, with me. Like, Spider-Man is funny corny to me. Resident Evil was just not, like, there was rarely a moment where I genuinely laughed because it was, like, something funny and not, like, laughing.
Bro, you didn't like when he met Salazar and he said, like, "No thanks, bro." Like, that shit is just so funny,
bad, bro. It's so
but that's
bad.
What makes it funny. It's so funny.
I hate it. No, but like, but so see, like, that's what we're talking about earlier, though. Is like, I really liked the Resident Evil 4 remake because, like, even though I don't think it's good. I think the story is it is basic as it comes. I think the characters are okay, but, like, I really liked the gameplay. There was a ton of fun boss battles that I really liked. So, like, I mean, I'm a fan of Resident Evil 4. I really am. But, like, that story or characters, I can't tell you a single beat from that story. It left my brain immediately.
Even to your point, it's like, oh, it's still a goofy, fun action story. It's like I was still pointing out the problems with it, like Adam fucking Sandler, whatever you want to call him. Like, there's so much dumb shit with his motivations and his plans. Leon has zero character development. He is literally the same. He is the exact same at the end of the story as he is at the beginning of the story. There's nothing there. There is legitimately nothing to his character. People were telling me, like, Resident Evil 2, there's stuff with him. Sure, that doesn't like it's like you can not play God of War 2018 and go into Ragnarok and be like, okay, you can see his development even if you haven't played that game. Like, and that was the same way how I felt with God of War 2018, because I didn't play the older God of War games before I played God of War 2018. But I still felt that character development because it was there. It was present. It was something they honed on. and like at least made notice. Like Leon has nothing. There was no internal conflict present or anything that they brought up with like something that he's struggling with. It was just a boring character, and I didn't care for him. Ashley was not only just annoying, but a nothing character. Literally nothing.
I hated everything about Ashley, bro. The worst. That is, talk about like messing with pacing in a video game. Like, Jonty, do you like, does that not bother you at all? Because like that pissed me off so bad, where I kept having to save her over and over again. I was like, this is like, it's cool at first for a second. I'm like, man, this is really annoying.
But
it's like
are you talking about like her in gameplay or her character right now?
Yes,
okay, right.
Literally,
like, because I was gonna say, like, her in the original, her character is so much worse and more annoying in the original than she is in the remake. She's actually so much more palatable.
That's what I heard, and that's crazy.
She's so much more tolerable in the remake, but in the remake, because I don't think the remake, I personally think the original Resident Evil 4 is still better than the remake. Like, that's my position. I think the original is better. One of the reasons is because this is just a couple, like, I have many different reasons why, but like just a small example to do with Ashley is that in the original, you have options when you're with her, so you can get her to hide in certain places, or you can just hit a button and she'll stay where she's currently standing, and you can go forward and deal with whatever you need to. In the remake, there's only I'm pretty sure there's only two options. She follows you all the time, and you only have she loosely follows you or she closely follows you. So the whole time she's following you. So in the original, you could just tell her, wait at the start of the arena and I'll go kill everyone and then I'll call you over.
My favorite.
She's a lot more annoying.
My favorite part of the remake was when I was in like one of those enclosed areas, and you could tell her to go hide in like a locker, and I was like, "Oh, this is the best! Like, this is great." Anytime that could, I think Colin, I think you made a video on that or something. I thought, but I was like, "No, that's same thing, girl." Anytime I could lock her in, and I wish I could just leave her there because I was like, "Man, you're mad annoying."
You know,
that's
the barn,
crazy. She's worse than the original.
You know the part in the barn with where you first get introduced
to
the lockers, and like Leon does like a backflip off a wall.
Yeah.
It's like that's where I first found the lockers, and even when I found the lockers, the people were still taking her out of the lockers. I was like, dude, you gotta be kidding me with this shit.
The gameplay is, I would arguably say, it's pretty close, but it's objectively worse, I reckon, in the remake. Like, because the shooting is way less tight. You've got like bullet spread now and all this other stuff, and it's been rough. I think we got a bit of feedback on your mic, Jacob, potentially.
Is it my
I could hear myself just a little bit, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought I'd let you know.
Has it been the whole time?
No, it only just started. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's because you're not. I think it's because you're not.
Unless I'm just speaking up or something. I don't know.
Interesting.
I think it's because you're not wearing headphones. It's like the audio coming from your TV or something.
Yeah. It's coming from right over here, but that's just weird. I mean, I can turn it down a little bit, so.
Yeah, it's only slight, so I think Jacob's wearing a W shirt. Someone said in my chat.
All right. What was it? Are we cool on the gameplay versus story thing? Do you want to move on?
So maybe just to sum it up, actually, one thing I wanted to bring up when you were talking about Caboose is what he said about, Spider-Man's been doing this for 10 years. It doesn't make sense for his swinging animations to change or whatever. That's a classic example of what you were saying earlier, where story is holding back gameplay, and also logically in universe, who cares? Like, keep the animations he has already and just add like 20 more, and just give us more variation. Like, you don't need to lose the animations he has. Like, it's like there's so many times I bring up stuff like that in games where they're not making improvements or whatever, and people say, it doesn't make sense with the story. Fuck the story, I don't care. Like, make the gameplay engaging. That's what matters to me. I don't think everything needs some in-universe explanation for why things have changed. Like, I know people get annoyed at this, but I don't personally. Is like, at the start of a game, when if it's a sequel, your character gets neutered to shit and you've got to restart. Like, I don't mind. I just kind of expect that in a sequel. Like, there's always going to be some MacGuffin or whatever that happens to your character. It's just the nature of it. It's kind of the way it is.
That's
like,
one of the things that I liked about Jedi Survivor is that they let you keep a lot of the abilities.
That was good, yeah. But it was mainly...
They took a big W on that one.
But that was mainly because the toolkit in Fallen Order was so basic that if you didn't have that in Survivor, it would be so boring. Like, I don't know, yeah.
I was gonna say
the full kit in
like Ragnarok, when they like reset the skill tree, I was like, come on, dude, why?
Yes, agreed. I like Ragnarok a lot, but like that and then like you had to unlock runes that we already had in the you know what I mean? Like I didn't get there was a lot of similar runes, and I was like, dang, like why aren't there a lot more, like, you know? So it's like those kind of things. But even like Jedi Survivor, even having something as simple as like the fast climbing, like that's I think that's a great thing to add in gameplay.
When I first,
and like
or I was gonna say when I first, like, you know, the first climbing section after the ship crashes.
Yes.
I felt as soon as he started climbing fast, I was like, thank you.
Yes, but then like Tears of the Kingdom, it just feels like a middle finger when you lose all of your stamina again. I'm like, I can't even get like a little bit more than like just a little bit more, like, or like, can I start with 5 hearts instead of 3? Like, come on.
Yeah, it's like I think that's a good topic to stem into the game of the year for this year. But what's it called,
John? Dude, unless you got something else.
No, that's good. I actually was just gonna say we could move into that now.
Okay.
I kind of want to talk about Tears of the Kingdom though. I don't even think the stamina thing should be there in the first place. Like, for traversal, it makes no sense. Like, I've heard the arguments like the stamina is there so that it challenges you to when you're trying to traverse the map, you can't scale this sort of building, yada yada yada. I'm like, 1, the vehicles completely break that system. 2, it literally just makes it slightly more inconvenient because there's not a single point in the game where I genuinely couldn't get to where I wanted to go because I didn't have so-and-so stamina. It's like, it's such a dumb system that it just doesn't make sense, especially for how big the map is. Like, I don't want to, like, why do I have to sit there, run for 5 seconds, stop, run for 5 seconds, stop? It's like so stupid to me.
I found it mad annoying in the first game, but I kind of forgave it towards the end. But I'd be lying if I wasn't struggling in the sequel. I'm like, man, this is really annoying. Like, I don't care if there's, again, like we were talking about in John 2, I was like, it's some kind of in-game explanation. I don't care. Like, this is annoying. Like, really, really. And then like you do 4 shrines, and bro, you get an extra step. That's like, oh my god, I gotta probably dump. I've done nothing in Tears of the Kingdom, but shrines to try to get like my health, and I've got like 12 hours into it, and I've done nothing in the game, just like shrines. And total side tangent, you have to unlock the map again. Like, that's mad annoying. Like, that's mad annoying.
Yeah,
like,
I completely agree. It's also like more did you finish that video, Deadbeat, that I sent you about the game?
No, I'll be honest, I didn't, bro.
Jonty, you played Tears of the Kingdom at all?
Yes, I finished the game. I honestly, after finishing it, I didn't pick it up again, which is weird because I still had heaps of side content to go. But
there's nothing. Side content it's literally fetch quests.
I think a lot of the quests, but to what you were saying earlier, Jacob, actually about skipping the story, I did that a lot in Breath of the Wild. I skipped like all the text and everything, but I actually found myself really engaged with Tears of the Kingdom story.
Really?
I thought it was a massive step up on Breath of the Wild.
Okay,
like, it was
that's
so
good.
much better, and I actually sat through it all.
I've only seen the opening scene because I've spent 12 hours just doing shrines. I've literally done nothing in the game. Like, again, I've got a dude, and this is like, so this kind of goes into like why I like the games that I like, and I prefer more stuff like, especially like linear. Like, it's also just like, unfortunately, it is the state of my life. Like, bro, I got a 7-month-old, and like, bro, I can play 2 hours of Tears of the Kingdom and literally make no progress, like so easily. I could just get nothing done because it takes forever to run over to this stupid thing to get this stupid shrine, and it's like
that kind of.
I like the game, I really do, but it is exhausting. Like, it feels like another job. Like,
that's kind of like one of my major criticisms. It's like, you can spend so much time exploring and you don't get any reward for that exploration. It's like the shrines are so undercooked. Like, I swear, most of them are literally can be solved by infants. It's like it was made for preschoolers. And it's also like the combat stems into that too. The combat is so brutally unengaging and easy, and I just don't. I can't comprehend what people don't know what I mean when I'm like, even compared to fucking Elden Ring, like I'm not the biggest fan of that shit, but I'm like, at least that game has some engaging enemy designs and makes you fucking think.
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom, like the mini bosses in this game, you can literally stand still and nothing happens. It's like, it's so painfully easy. And again, the healing system is broken. It takes any and all tension out of the fight. There's little to no variety in terms of moves you can pull off, unless you like fix in, like maybe you fuse a bomb to your shield, you jump up, do an arrow. There's only like a few things you can really do differently when you mix in the fuse mechanic. It's like the combat.
John.
Or what happened?
Jonty, do you think that adds a lot to the gameplay? Because I felt the same way. I was like, I thought the fuse was a cool thing at first, but then I was like, what does this really like add? Like, there's a couple things that it does, no doubt.
Yeah. But... No, I as soon as they showed off fusing, I called. I was watching it with my buddies, and I was like, is that it? Like, and they kind of all they just showed like, oh yeah, you put a rock on a fucking stick or whatever, like woohoo. But there was nothing. There was not. I was like, is this the big thing that they're like pushing forward? Because it didn't. Right. It did. You're right. It didn't really change much. It didn't change the core experience. It didn't change really how I played the game. I thought it was a good addition, but honestly, the thing that I actually underrated about the game that I really enjoy, the building of the vehicles and stuff. Like later in the game, early on it sucks because you got nothing. Like
I was about to say, like that's where I'm
your
at
battery
now.
is like nothing. Like but eventually you build up a massive surplus of a battery and you get all these extra things. And I was far more engaged with that system than I was with the fusing. I think that was something that I really enjoyed and like took time to actually do.
The best combat scenario I've experienced so far, and
sorry guys, I'm just getting a call from my boss. I'll just be back in
no, that's okay.
Feel free to keep going.
No, the best part that I've experienced on the combat so far was I kept dying over and over again. This guy, like one of these big enemies, was throwing this like explosive barrel at me, and I couldn't get past it. In mid throw, I reversed the time, and it launched it back at him, and I was like, okay, like that's cool, but like you can't really do that with like every single enemy. But I was like, that was I like that. That was unique.
It has the thing that I feel with Final Fantasy. It has those little spurts of like, holy shit, this was really cool. But then it's just like I remember the rest of the game, and I'm like, it's like
like I said, I'd be lying. Like I am struggling to finish it right now. Like struggling to pick it up. I pick it up and then I put it down very quickly. I wonder if I'm trying to see if I wonder if that's John T's like kind of runner up for game of the year this year or not. I don't know what he's
I personally
what's your runner up right now? Like what's the best thing that you I'm sure it's Hi-Fi Rush.
Nah, it's Jedi Survivor. I have a ranking of my games this year so far. Number 1 is Jedi Survivor. Number 2 is Hi-Fi Rush. Number 3 is Dead Space. Number 4 is Hogwarts Legacy. Number 5 is Resident Evil 4 Remake. Number 6 is Final Fantasy 16. Number 7 is Have a Nice Death. Number 8 is Zelda. Number 9 is a game called Strayed Lights. It's an indie game. That just came out. Number 10 is Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. Number 11 is X Defiant. Number 12 is Sons of the Forest. And number 13 is Outlast Trials.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I think what might be good is if we just say what our current Game of the Year contender is for all of us, maybe.
Yeah.
If we all know that.
Yeah, that's what he was just going over. What's your number 1 runner? Just so that way.
My current Game of the Year would be if I could break my morals and say it would be Dead Space.
Agreed.
I think that has been the best experience I've played all year. It's been
agreed.
It's been the most fond like memories I've had ever since I played it. Like the whole campaign was just great. Like I've replayed it, and yeah, that was the best. But I don't think remakes should be allowed for Game of the Year. That's the unfortunate thing.
That's what I'm struggling with, because like my two favorite games this year have been Dead Space and Resident Evil Remake. And I have Dead Space like at my third ranking right now of this year, and that's not because I think it's in the third place. That's like you said, like just from like a moral standpoint, because Dead Space to me better than Resident Evil 4. I don't care. I played the original Dead Space 2. I'll take those all day over Resident Evil 4 wouldn't even blink about it.
I think that I legitimately think Dead Space is better in every aspect: gameplay, story. World design, level design, atmosphere, maybe not boss fights.
Yeah, maybe not boss fights. Yeah, but close to everything. Like, agreed. Yeah. So I'm with you there. Like, Dead Space would technically lead, but I've got it at 3. And like my enjoyment factor, I put Resident Evil 4 at my number 1 right now, because it's only for me because I didn't play the original. So like, but like again, like I'm struggling with that. Like, it is a whole new remake. Like, and the reason too, I also have Dead Space lowered again, not because I think the game is, I think Dead Space is better than Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 remake is better than Dead Space's remake by a landslide. Because like Dead Space, as much as I love that game, like the original holds up amazing, and it's like I just think there was more work put into the RE4 remake than the Dead Space, and that's not, again, I'm not bashing the Dead Space remake.
Yeah, of course.
It's very well done. Very well done.
Arguably, you could say it was because Resident Evil 4 needed more work than Dead Space did. Right. Dead Space kind of just needed like a visual overhaul. Like everything else is pretty solid about it.
I would say to that point, I was like, why do you prefer Dead Space or Resident Evil over Jedi Survivor or Hi-Fi Rush?
Colin, you want, or I don't know why I said that. Jonty, you want to take that first, or?
Like Hi-Fi Rush, like I said, I put it down. I actually haven't finished it. I was talking to Colin about it the other day. Mainly just because I think the combat is and you're gonna be like, what the fuck? But it's still quite simplistic. Like for a hack and slash, it's simplistic.
In what way?
And
can you elaborate on that?
I could see Colin's gears turning, bro.
So it's pretty much still just preset combos, like outside of like a set move list. Not as much stuff strings together as it should. It's more like you execute a combo, then you execute another combo. It's not as much like there's less mobility in the combat than DMC.
Not
and
true. Wait, not true, because the grappling hook in Hi-Fi Rush, like how you can bounce around from different enemies, the movement is way smoother in that game.
But DMC, like you can teleport, there's dodging, there's enemy stepping, jumping over enemies, like hopping on enemies' heads. Like there's just more in DMC. And I'm not saying it's simple. I'm not saying the combat's simple. I'm just saying it's more simplistic compared to other. It's the same way people tell me like, oh, like Metal Gear Rising is such a good hack. Like that combat is really simple as well. Like but it's good. It's still just by hack and slash standards. But that being said, I still think if I had to pick best art direction, Hi-Fi Rush 100%
easily. Yeah, that's what drew me into the game, man. Yeah. Like that,
the visual look of the game is so interesting.
Because I know you get frustrated that like most games nowadays want to do the hyper realism. Yep. So it's like it was a nice, great change of pace, and that's why I play a ton of indie games, man. Because like they'll always.
Absolutely,
they'll always smash it and keep me, and that's why I play such an assortment of games. So it's like I don't want all my games to be the same. That's why even earlier when we were talking about it, it's like I like different games for different reasons. But dude, just like Jedi Survivor, it's frustrating to me that I wanted to like that game so much more than I did, and it's like it pisses me off that they didn't get. I beat the whole game and they didn't get out a nice patch for it to fix the performance, and it sucks. And it's gonna hurt it for game, at least for me personally. I do think there's a lot of solid stuff underneath that, but I can't ignore that. I can't put
as it
that
should.
In
it should hurt it. It should hurt its chances.
Because I really, really did enjoy it. Especially towards the end, people kept telling me it really ramps up and it really ramps up in the end, and it does. It was awesome. But I can't ignore.
As soon as the Bode kind of like spoilers here, but as soon as the boat thing happens, the story is just a train wreck. Train ride.
Yeah.
It's like, I wanted to go back to the Hi-Fi Rush point. The reason I think it's better than Devil May Cry's combat is because not only does it have a shit ton of combos, but it also mixes in the rhythm stuff, which is really fun to use. It's also like the enemy designs in that game are so much better than Devil May Cry's enemy designs. Same with the boss fights.
I'd agree with that, to be honest, but I think the core of DMC's combat isn't about the enemies; it's about the expression of the character. I made a video about it not long ago, but like Dante alone in DMC5 has like 206 unique moves that all do different things, and he's one of the 4 characters in the game, which is just like an insane amount of options for combat. Like, you could argue the importance of those options is another question. Like, do you even need to use them all? But
see, that's where like me and you, like, we constantly like, again, and it's, I think all is completely valid, and like I understand why that impresses you, but it's just like, for me, it's like I'm never gonna use all of those, so it's like, but again, I don't think either of us have, it's not wrong either way, but it's like, for me personally, I just don't care that much. I mean, it's a total side tangent, but that's why, like, Starfield, I'm just like, I just keep rolling my eyes at, because it's like, oh, cool, 1,000 planets. I'm sure they're all going to be really solid. Like, the majority. Again, totally two completely different. Completely different thing.
I agree with you on that. I think them flexing that they have 1,000 planets is like the weirdest shit ever. Like, why the fuck would they be bragging about how big and empty their game is going to be?
Did you see like only like 10% are going to have like actual like life on
the rest
there?
are just like resource mining shit. Oh, it's like, what the fuck?
It's gonna be no, man. I'm telling you, man. I got a couple boys who swear by it. But I got reamed in my Starfield video when I talked about it. Like, because I was in LA with all the guys, and they actually went to the Xbox showcase. I was not invited. I didn't have an in, and they all came back and they were gassing it up. And I was like, guys, that junk sucked. I was like, that was terrible. And they were gassing it up, and I was like, hey, I mean, it is what it is. Again, that's just not my kind of game. It's not gonna be like, and I just hope, for everyone's sake, because regardless, it probably won't be a game for me. I just hope they actually can deliver on a lot of their promises for the sake of people who are excited. But that is,
of course,
that is
like, I don't know, have they said it or not? Because I'm really confused. And Todd Howard fucking does this, where he's really vague about what the actual features in the game are. I was not happy
when I saw Todd Howard doing a lot of the.
Are the planets planet-sized? Like, are they actually full-size planets that are going to take, like, days of playtime to traverse on foot? Like, or are they, like, smaller size maps? Like, I'm confused. Like, they've never really clarified what... Like, because if they're... Because they've already confirmed this, like, Todd Howard said this, and something not many people are giving press, but there's no vehicles in the game at all. So you're traversing the whole, like, all while you're on planet, you're traversing that all on foot. So it's like, fuck, am I going to be walking for like hours before I see something?
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't show off any traversal methods outside of fast travel.
No, there's not. It's because there's none. They said, Todd Howard said, in the gameplay demo, they show the character using a boost pack in combat, like a jetpack that gives it's like slightly faster than...
It's like a double jump, if you will.
Yeah. Like... And Todd Howard said that was the traversal. He's like, that serves as our... He's like, that's our vehicle of movement. I'm like, what?
Oh my god!
I'm
like, that's gonna blow.
I honestly don't even think I'm gonna play that shit.
Dude, I'm
waiting for a sale. I'm waiting for a sale.
It's coming to Game Pass, so like I think I've still got my... I'll re-up it just to play it, and I'll probably play like 10. I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm not, and if I'm wrong, that I'm perfectly okay with that. But I'm double down on the fact that, like, I think it's gonna tank. Like, I really do. I think it's gonna come out and it's not gonna perform well. I think it's gonna be extremely empty, and like the combat doesn't even look fun, man. And like, and everyone's because like everyone's like, Bethesda's never really had great combat. I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's not really that's like I don't know why that's not a flex to, you know, like get better, do better. Like
I said this before, but Starfield's gonna make or break Bethesda. Like if they don't deliver, like this after Fallout 76 is gonna just be like the nail in the coffin. They'll be treated like Ubisoft from here on out.
Dude, after Redfall, and then after Redfall and the Fallout 76, I mean, like they're not. It's not a feat anymore, like to be like, oh, this is made by Bethesda. Like we're all on edge right now. Like when that gets announced, it's like, because it's like, I don't know, they just haven't been. I miss, like, you know, I miss Prey and Dishonored. Like those are, and I know those like Arkham Studios. That wasn't Bethesda who made the game, but like those are the ones that I love. But
I just don't think those games sell anymore. Those immersive sim games. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what sells anymore, which sucks because they're really good games.
I do love those.
Okay, what's it called? I kind of want to ask. It's like, okay, so outside of the performance issues for Jedi Survivor, like pretend they don't exist. What would be your rating for the game?
I would give it like an 8. I think it's a really good improvement on Fallen Order. Really
I agree. I was like, because I hate doing half points, because I'd be like, if I did, I'd be somewhere sitting like a 7.5 to an 8. But I think I could easily settle with an 8. But like you said, I wish I couldn't ignore those performance issues. Like I really do, because like I made a video originally, and like I really didn't notice it in like the first couple hours of the game, but when you get into those big open worlds and combat gets bigger, like it is very, very noticeable, and like it sucks. Like it sucks.
Yeah, I understand it. Personally, I just had so much, like the combat is so fucking good to me. The story is great. The exploration is so fun. The level designs are great. The boss fights are great. It's like there's so many elements to that game that just hit home with me and like what I like in games. And it's it does it. Everything that I like, it just does it at a high level. And I'm like, I love it. Especially like the platforming as well. So fucking fun.
I don't know about platforming, but I think the traversal is a massive improvement. Like being able to, with the grappling hook and the dashing midair with the wall, with the fields that would refresh your thing.
Yeah,
and
very much like that. Yeah.
It was pretty good. Like it was definitely it was better than I was expecting, to be honest, because
like
I didn't like Fallen Order really much at all.
Like that Jeddah that Jeddah action sequence with the big drill and Marin, I was like, dude, I was literally, my jaw was on the floor. I was literally sitting there with the fucking controller.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was really
sitting
fun,
there
no
like,
doubt.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. And also it really feels like they like assessed what was in Fallen Order, and they're like, okay, like how can we like improve this?
Yeah.
Like they address like the fucking like the backtracking and shit like in Fallen Order. Like they improved on exploration, it made combat a little bit more deep as well. Like it was just I wish they would have improved
their daggone map, dude. I hate the map, and
I still didn't like it either.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with the map in either game.
I think I honestly, Colin, I think a lot of people are the same as you. I feel like me and Jacob are in the minority because most people don't complain about it. I don't know, that 3D map is like so weird to use.
I agree 100%. Throws
but it
me
might
off.
just be
I got no clue, but I'll take it if it's just me. But
so honestly, Jedi Survivor was a good experience, but it's held back by because did you play on console, Jacob?
Yep, I did on the PlayStation.
So I'm so glad someone validates my experience with the fucking console performance, because when I was making videos about it, people are like, it runs fine on my PlayStation. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, again, the game would run below 720p at some point.
I get it from some people, because like I did see that they're like, okay, like a lot of TVs nowadays, like if people are playing on those, like, you know, they've got like variable refresh rate and stuff, and like motion smoothing, so it just might not look like it to them. It is harder on so I do understand that, but like again, like because I was one of the guys who was like at the beginning, again, only like the first few hours, I was like, it really isn't that bad, but like I said, when it opened up, I was like, oh my god.
No, I honestly think if you don't own a PC, it's so easy to not notice like certain performance things like low FPS and stuff. But like, because I was like this too. once I got a PC, I started to note. That's when I started to notice like frame rate drops, texture pop-ins. You can notice that on console, but
yeah.
But it's just like performance stuff is so noticeable once you get a better experience. It's like once you play a game at like 90 FPS, playing that same game at like 30 FPS, it legitimately hurts. Like or for me personally, it hurts my eyes. Like it's so jarring to get used to.
Man.
Yeah.
Which is why I completely understand the performance criticisms of Jedi Survivor, because I had the same things. It's like it's
just not on. Like in 2023, when we're paying more for games now, it's just making a game run right is the bare minimum of putting out a product.
What really sucks is because like this should have been a game that we'll be talking about for years. It's like, hey, this is like a really good way to do a sequel, but all that we're going to be talking about majority of the time is like, man, yeah, that's cool, but like, God, it had a terrible launch, like, and that's
it's like Arkham Knight on PC when that came out.
Right, they took it off the store, man. Like that's
Then they did the same thing with they did the same thing with Cyberpunk.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's that sucks that's going to be probably majority of the conversation and how we'll remember it, because I do think it is really good, like as far as like improving, the original
I understand
game, so.
why I can understand why EA put the game out. But at the same time, I don't understand why you would just not want to give your just give your game some more time to cook with it. Like, I don't understand why you're going to release this game in this state. Like, there's no shot, because I know for a damn fact Respawn definitely didn't want to. They didn't want to take that or release the game yet.
Yeah.
Like, and I think Respawn are really good developers, to be honest. Like, I love the Titanfall series. Like, I think Fallen Order was still like I think Fallen Order was still a well-made, like, solid game. And yeah, I think it was definitely not of their fault that the game launched the way it did. It was clearly EA pushing the game out and trying to get it out there. So,
all right, now
on that note, I actually think, just quickly about Jedi Survivor, I think the story beats were worse in Survivor, but I think the characters were way better. So I think the like themes of the story and stuff were worse in Survivor, but I like Cal as a character was so much better in Survivor.
Much better. Yeah, so much better.
I made a video,
and the side cast and everything was a lot better.
Yeah, I made a video breaking down the writing of Jedi Fallen Order, and like when I make those videos, I really like dive deep into the story and like analyze them critically to like pick up on all the themes presented and the character moments and how gameplay can connect to story and certain things like that. And it's like I get such a deeper appreciation for things. I haven't done that yet with Jedi Survivor, so maybe in the future I'll think Jedi Survivor has a better story, but for right now I'm 50-50, because and that's not even like a discredit to Jedi Survivor, because I still think the story is great. It's just I love Fallen Order story, especially like as someone who likes Star Wars. It's just like it was so good, and it fits so well with the theme of like that time period with the Empire. That's like my favorite time period. It's so good.
Yeah, I think I would agree very similarly to like that. Like, I think I like the overall story of Fallen Order better, like the actual beats, just like you said, but I do like a lot of the characters better. So I think that's extremely well said. Like, that's exactly how I feel.
To the characters point, I think Trilla was better than every single one of the antagonists in Survivor. I think the antagonists in Survivor were more there as parallels, like Dagon and Ravis. They were more there as parallels for Cal's internal conflict, whereas Bode was kind of the villain, but I think Bode wasn't as good as Trilla.
The twist with Bode was kind of like underwhelming, to be honest. I don't know. I didn't really.
I feel bad. I don't want to, like, if anybody in chat hasn't got to that point yet, I'll try.
Oh shit! Yeah, sorry. Spoiler warning.
Yeah, it's all like because like the twist with him that he was kind of I don't know if I want to be vague or just like give a decent amount of time for people. But let's just say the first twist with him that like he wasn't on their side. I thought that was very weak. But with him kind of like that second twist with him, I didn't see that one coming. Like, you know, where your fight with him, you know what I mean? Like he on who he actually was, like, you know what I mean? Who he actually was. I thought that was a little bit better, but like the fact that like he wasn't, you know, he was doing Cal wrong, like I could have seen that a mile away, you know. So
I saw a lot of people saying they knew Bode was gonna turn. I felt like an idiot because I'm like, I didn't see this shit coming at all. I'm like, maybe I'm just fucking stupid.
No, I didn't see it coming at all. But it was mainly because there was no there was no. I don't know. I didn't see any like foreshadowing to it. It was weird that it was like, oh, it's this new character that they're like they're buddies now, and I'm like,
yeah,
yeah.
I feel like a lot of other people. I mean, sometimes I understand when people can say they see it it's coming a while away, but like I don't know if you remember, Jacob. Do you remember the Fornatron? I don't know what his name is. The one dude who's trashing God of War and like.
Yeah, Fornatron. That's it. Yeah,
He blocked me. Everyone kept sending me his videos, and I was like, "Why isn't it?" But yeah, he blocked me. I don't know why.
I think he was saying in his video. I don't remember if he said it. I don't remember vividly what he said, but I think he said Brock's death and the tier turn was so predictable. I'm like, no, the fuck, it was not. Let's stop it. You did not know that was fucking coming.
It's a guy like him is initially no shade, John T. That was initially who I thought somebody like because I remember like me and John T had some fun beef when he first kind of got on TikTok, and I was like, and he was ragging on God of War 2018. That's who I thought he was, but like that Fornatron guy, like that dude's a clown, bro. Like that dude, like I was like, whatever. Like
it's pretty obvious. I don't know, pretty obvious clickbait. Like a lot of his stuff. Even if he does have those opinions, he's really he's so abrasive as a person, like to watch. Yeah. Like it's like, and that's probably the way a lot of people feel about me. But the way he dishes out his opinions are
to that point, like when I first saw your videos, Devil, what's it called? I like every single video that popped up on your thing, I was like, no, I disagree completely.
Yeah,
but like,
same.
You weren't. I didn't feel like you were a fucking annoying little prick about it. It's like I feel like you had an interesting view on the things that I kind of wanted to understand. Whereas so many, like that's why I have so many people blocked, like. Because they're just literal children about things. It's like, dude, stop. It's just so fucking like.
That's why everyone thinks John T is like that. But then I said this, like, then I talked to him for like 2 seconds, and it's like it's completely different, you know. But it's like people also forget, like, we're making content too, so it's like you kind of got me and John T talk about it all the time. It's like you have to drill into it, and you can't like have this
beat around the bush.
Out. Yeah. So it's like if you got an opinion, even if it's absolutely wild, like you gotta give it 100%.
You kind of gotta be like one of the polar ends of something if you 100%. If you want to like I guess have your opinion stand out. I suppose. Yeah. But anyway, we should probably move on because
we probably talk about we didn't talk about Spider-Man 2 and like.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about at all like if anything like the future. Because like I could say a piece real quick. Like to me, like y'all are probably in a different boat, but like Hollow Knight Silk Song, like if that comes out this year, that's probably taking the crown for me. If it,
I think a lot of people agree with you there. Like
we are all if it actually comes out this year. So praying to God that it actually does. Because I think that has got a real Did y'all play any of y'all play Lies of P? Because I really liked the Lies of P demo.
I liked it. I did like it.
Played the demo.
I liked my first experience with it more than I liked. Like I like Bloodborne overall as a game a little bit more, even though I haven't beaten that game. But I feel like the initial experience I had with Lies of P was a lot better than I felt playing Bloodborne. Like I like the pair. It feels like a mix between Sekiro and Bloodborne, and those are the two Souls games that I actually like.
It seems like this, you know, there's a bunch of like copycat Bloodborne kind of games that have come out in a while, but like this team seems like they've really done some homework, and you know, and like I don't know, I think it might be a sleeper. It may not take Game of the Year this year, but like, which is okay. But like, I think it'll be a sleeper hit this year for sure. I think if it continues to do like what it did in the demo, Because I don't, dude, I played that in LA because they announced the demo and I didn't have any. I was gone. I didn't bring anything with me, so I booted up a PlayStation 4 and I played it, and it played great.
It's on
like
PS4?
It played really good.
I didn't know
the PlayStation 4.
I didn't know they were still making stuff for PS4 nowadays. Honestly.
Yeah. I was surprised, bro. It was like I said, it was they just had they had one hooked up in like the Airbnb we were staying at, and I was like, I gotta play this demo. I was like, because I wasn't going back for like another week, and I wanted to make videos on it. But I really liked that. Hollow Knight Silksong will be a big one, and then Spider-Man 2, I think, are if I remember correctly, those are probably like the biggest things that are coming out for me.
I was gonna say, like, I literally can't imagine a world where Spider-Man 2 isn't my game of the year. Like, I just can't.
Yeah, I feel that. Like, I know what you mean. I
don't think like when I watched that gameplay demo, because I've made multiple videos about how the game can improve. Pretty much every single combat improvement that I wanted in the game was shown in that fucking demo, and I'm like, dude, thank you. Like, it made me so happy. Traversal, different discussion. I still am iffy to see what they improve with the web swinging, because it looks pretty much the same, which I love. Like, it's still my favorite traversal system in any game. But it's got so much room for improvement. But it's also like Spider-Man 2 is a game from a developer I trust, rarely ever makes bad games. If at all. I haven't played enough of their categories to really form a full opinion on that, but it's also like it literally just looks like everything from the first game better. And it's gonna be better. So I can't imagine a world where that's not my game of the year.
Sorry guys, I'll be back in a sec. My coworker, I have to give my key to a coworker who's just come to pick it up.
That's all good, man. But no, I feel you on that. I'm very hyped for Spider-Man 2. And I've seen so many people, again, it's TikTok too. So like there's no way Spider-Man can take game of the year, and it's like I don't know. That junk, like, that just excites me, man. Like I said, I saw that 10-minute gameplay trailer and like I was gassed up far more than anything else that I had seen. Like and that's all that we've seen too. Like we've only 10 minutes of gameplay trailer, and like I'm convinced it could be game of the year. Like that's crazy. But again, like Insomniac is when Insomniac puts stuff out, it's quality, and it's gonna run good. It's gonna run good. It's gonna look good. I really doubt performance is going to be of any issue in the game. Like,
not even just again. Hold on, I was gonna say not even just Insomniac, just PlayStation exclusives in general. They never released with performance issues, except for like maybe Days Gone, I think, had performance issues, but I didn't play that game a bunch.
Yeah.
But like
you can say I'm right all you want, but that's exactly correct. What usually with a very high success rate, when Sony releases at least an exclusive, it runs good. And me and Jonty were talking about that when we were talking about specifically like Ragnarok. And I was like, if you're gonna reduce points on a game, like something like Jedi Survivor from not running good, it's like at least give respect to like something like Ragnarok. Like that thing came out and it ran like a machine, and and there were day one ran like a machine.
I didn't have a single bug my entire playthrough of that game. I've played New Game Plus, still haven't ran into any bugs. It's literally just fucking. You have to give it points just on that basis alone, just because of the state of modern games and how they release so many unfinished ones.
100%.
And it shouldn't be like that. Like, we shouldn't.
We shouldn't give games a pass. It does suck
for doing what they should be doing.
Yeah. No, I agree.
All right, I'm back. I'm talking about Spider-Man, right?
We dipped into a little bit more as far as like just the I think at least the performance will be really good on it.
I think
we were talking about like.
I was gonna say I think now.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Stem from to like Spider-Man versus Arkham. Just talking about Spider-Man in general.
Shit.
All right, so wait, what do you think? I think you've said this before. You think the Spider-Man's better than the Arkham series, or just like every game individually, Jacob?
The Spider I would rather play Spider-Man 2018 than any of like the Arkham games.
So I was just saying, do you think it's better than every single one of the Arkham games?
That's hard.
Not like all put together, but like individually.
That's so hard, eh?
Yeah, like
So,
because
at the very least, it's close to me.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, it's close enough to where if you said you liked either one, that's fine. Because like I'm more engaged with like the story of Spider-Man. I'm also just like I love Spider-Man as I also like Batman, but like I lean a little bit more towards Spider-Man. And again, like yeah, because like I recently played Arkham Asylum for the first time. I somehow like skipped it. I played City, Origin. I went all the way up the ladder.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, and then but like I recently went back and played Asylum, and like it's good. It's good, you know. But like to me, Arkham, like, because Arkham Knight does not have the strongest story in my opinion.
No,
like
it's
at all.
not
Like,
good. It's
yeah,
not good.
Yeah, but like the gameplay wise and world wise, like man, it is God, it's impressive. And
yeah,
it freaking the people who are like, you can't compare Gotham Knights to that. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. And it's way better.
No, that game.
It's 7 years.
I think
older.
that game.
No, it's almost a decade, right?
Yeah, it's like, hold on. I think that game and Uncharted 4 for that time period are like the pinnacle of like that generation's graphics. Like they still hold up to this day to utter perfection. It's so I don't know how they made Arkham Knight look as good as it does on a PS4.
It looks so good, and it still looks good, man. It still looks good.
Yeah, I think the argument with people comparing it to Gotham, like, oh, you can't compare it to the Arkham series. It's like, people conflate that with like we want it to be the same as Arkham, right, but it's like no, it's just look how good Arkham is. Like, and this is shit. Like, yeah,
there's no reason for that, man.
That's all it is. People just say, "Oh, people are crying because it's not Arkham." It's like, no, we're crying because the game is shit. And Arkham Knight came out nearly 10 years ago.
I don't know
and
how
it's so much better.
I don't know how the same studio that wrote Arkham Origins wrote Gotham Knights.
Right.
I don't get that at all.
Facts.
Origins was kind of slept on.
If you were to both rank the Arkham games, like what would you probably do?
Oh no. Oh no. Number one is Arkham Knight for me. I think Arkham Knight.
Really?
I agree the story's weaker.
Yeah.
The story's weaker than pretty much all of them. But I think its gameplay is just so good. Like, I think going back to that and playing
you're talking like when it's actual combat though. You're not talking the Batmobile, right?
Honestly, here's a take, all right?
No way.
I don't think it's good. I don't think the combat is good, but I think it was good to include in the game. I just think it was used too much. I think if it was used more sparingly, people wouldn't be ragging on it as much, but because it was used as much as it was in the game, I think that's where people have
like you get a Deathstroke boss fight and you're in a tank. Like that's embarrassing. Come on, like that is embarrassing.
No, I think if it was used less, I think it would be fine.
The boss fights in general in that game suck. Like they're not good.
Suck.
I don't know what the hell they were doing with that shit. How do you I wouldn't say perfect their combat system, but get it to the highest level I guess they could be for that point, and then not give us combat. Deathstroke, Ra's al Ghul, maybe a Mr. Freeze-like boss fight with another enemy. It's like, how the hell do you do that? How do you screw up that badly?
Yeah. So, like, for reasons like that, I feel like City would be on top for me, followed, like, insanely close by Knight. Like, because, again, like, Knight does so many good things, though. Like, Arkham Knight does so many good things. But, like for those small reasons, I'd probably put City on top. And then I'd go Knight.
Well, me personally, Origins is my favorite. City is my second favorite. Knight is my third, and Asylum is last.
Asylum everyone's last? Because it's my last as well.
Yeah, it's my last as well for sure. Because I like 100%.
Yeah.
Like Arkham Knight's gameplay and world is so great, but again, like the story not good. The boss fights suck. The Batmobile level design is not good. Even some of the other like regular level designs aren't that good. What's it called? What was I also about to say? A lot of the side missions are not good.
Redberry, the story good. No, my boy Redberry. He said Arkham Knight on top. Okay.
What? No way. Like, I will say this: it has the coolest version of Scarecrow to come out in a long time. So.
Yeah.
I mean, cool is one thing. Well written is another thing.
Who's better written in recent memory?
He said Arkham. Scarecrow. He said Arkham Knight, not Asylum.
Then that Scarecrow.
Yeah. No. Scarecrow, like Scarecrow is the main villain of Knight, isn't he?
Are you talking about?
Yeah, no. I thought you were confusing them because you sounded confused why he said Arkham Knight on top, because I was confused.
Oh
no. You had yours on top.
Okay, I thought he meant I thought he was saying like on in terms of story as well, like.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'll object. I'll concede. I'll concede and say, the story is not the best in Night. I still think it's fine. I just think compared to City's story, it's not even.
I still think I think City has some hitches in its story. Like one of the biggest plot conveniences is like that ninja being at the museum. Like somehow Penguin fucking captures this ninja. And then she just leads us straight to the British Al Ghul, which just is a
dude. It has been so long since I played City, man. Like I don't think I played City since like, maybe a year or two after.
I think if you replayed City, your opinion would change on it, because I think the gameplay is very slow. I feel like I would too, like for sure. And that is so hard when it comes to like gaming and stuff. But just like from what I remember, but again, it's not by a long shot though, because I do like a lot of things Arkham Knight has to offer, but it does have some faults. Big John in Collins Sat said Arkham Knight was better than any Spider-Man game, even with the so-so story. The fear you strike in the AI's heart is incredible. I will say the Predator encounters in the open world is probably my favorite parts of the game. Like when you're stumbling upon like a military base or something, or a bunch of guys in like a building high up or something. You're like, fuck yeah, like let's go.
I really like
the stealth is at its peak in Night. Like it's so.
The gameplay in general the gameplay in general is definitely up there. I wanted to. Why do you think you think Arkham Knight is better combat than Spider-Man, right?
No. Oh, damn! It's close. It's close. Yeah. Either way.
Wait. So why do you think Arkham Knight's the better?
I think. I think Arkham. No. I don't. No, I didn't say it was a better game.
I thought I saw it in one of your tier lists.
Well,
maybe your opinion.
I don't know.
Or something.
I don't know. Like I feel like. For me, anyway, probably one of the biggest reasons. I think Arkham Knight sells the fantasy of being Batman more than Spider-Man sells the fantasy of being Spider-Man. Because what's core to the character, and this is one of the bigger issues that I have with Spider-Man, with the Spider-Man game, narratively wise at least. Like, because when Spider-Man came out, it was like. It was the Arkham thing, right? People were saying it makes you feel like Spider-Man. Wow,
they say they say that about every game. It's like IGN's favorite quote.
But really, if you want it to feel like Spider-Man, because there's many times in the game, right, where you're rushing to it, like Peter's saying, "I'm late for this. I'm rushing to this marker," or what? Like he's got to go do this. He's got to go see Otto. He's got to go do, and like, but there's no rush. Like you can get there anytime you want. Like it's more like you're being told you're Spider-Man, not that you're actually feeling. Because part of Spider-Man's character is that he has to make sacrifices. He's dealing with like that's core to the character. So I wouldn't say it makes you. It's more like you're being. It's like you as the player are given the powers of Spider-Man, and you've just got free reign and can do whatever you want in the world. That's it. Doesn't make you feel like the character. Whereas I feel like in Arkham Knight, I feel like Batman is like on a mission in that game. Like everything he does, everything you do gameplay wise in that game, except for fucking Riddler trophies, is like contributing to the end goal, I suppose. Whereas in Spider-Man, you can just like fucking swing around and get lost in the swinging and neglect like crimes and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like it's a small thing, but that's just one of the reasons why. Like, that's something that I think Arkham sells the fantasy of being Batman more than Spider-Man sells its fantasy of being Spider-Man. But
I'm kind of in a 50-50 boat in terms of whether I like Arkham Knight's combat more than I like Spider-Man's combat. Because on one end, Spider-Man allows for way more creativity than any Arkham game in its combat, and the enemy design is better in Arkham because like I kind of like, especially once you play, I wouldn't say maybe not during the main story.
You say the enemy design's better in Arkham?
Yeah, or not enemy.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Actually, I would say enemy design and enemy variety in terms of terms of what they throw at you, even though they have similar. It's because they have the same amount of enemy variety, but it's how you. It's the substance of the enemies that what I feel makes it better in terms of that aspect of the combat. But I feel like mostly only shines for me in the combat maps, like the iceberg, like the combat challenges, the AR stuff. That's kind of where that only shines for me, because there's never a point in the main story where I hit a roadblock. I'm stuck here. It's like the game. I don't know why, because I hear it a lot from Arkham defenders. It's like, I don't know why they act like the game is so hard compared to, like, and then they're like, oh, Spider-Man's easy. Arkham's easy as fuck too. It's not hard to play that game or even get good at the game.
No, that's right. No, I think game. I think that you don't even have to put that much effort into what you're leveling up. But I'd argue it's the same with Spider-Man. Like, you can finish the game and not really pay attention.
Oh yeah,
to what
I'm not saying Spider-Man doesn't.
Yeah. But I think it's just the nature of those, like, these kind of superhero games trying to appeal to the lowest common denominator of person they can. Like, the worst player is able to play it still.
That's why,
which is also something that I think is detracting from modern games as well. And I'm not talking about accessibility and stuff like that. I'm talking about, like, neutering the need for a player to think in modern games. Like, it's like with the God of War Ragnarok thing, with Atreus yelling at you every puzzle, how to solve it. Like, it's like, get that shit out of my games, man, or let me turn it off. Like,
I really wish you could turn it off. That would be nice.
Can't you turn it off? I'm pretty sure you can.
Oh, can you? Oh, I don't know. I looked in the menu. I was like, you could probably turn down dialogue volume or something, I guess.
Right.
Maybe, but I don't know. I don't know if there was just a setting that's like, turn off annoying ass Atreus telling me how to solve a puzzle.
I didn't think there was, but again, it's...
maybe there was. Maybe I'm wrong. But if there was, that's good. But yeah, it was just like... Yeah. And do you guys know who DSP is? Like, Darkside Phil?
Nah.
I don't think so, no.
He's like this, like, streamer that's like toxic and sucks at games and stuff, but he's been on the platform for like 10 years. But it was in one of the developer commentaries or something for God of War Ragnarok, they talked about the whole reason they added Atreus saying all these things and these obvious hints in the puzzles was because they watched his gameplay of God of War 2018, where he constantly got stuck because he's an idiot.
They said the same thing. Under the Mayo, they did the same thing with Under the Mayo. I saw
really,
one of his reviews, yeah. It was
it's like, how bad do you have to be like singled out as an example of what, like, how, like, this is the worst player, like, and we have to cater to this person. Like,
no,
that
I
made a whole new mechanic for you.
So in Under the Mayo's initial God of War 2018 review, he was mad that when Atreus started acting like a little dickhead towards the second half of the story, or like the third half, and you know the moment in Ragnarok where Atreus is like having a vision of his past self, and he's like, whatever, and it just keeps spamming that.
Yeah.
It's like, apparently that was a callback to Under the Mayo complaining about that. It was
interesting.
Funny to me.
Good lord.
But yeah, I think the modern games neuter the need for a player to think a lot. Like, they think we're stupider than we are, and I think it, like, detracts from, like, I miss old games where you, like, just work shit out, like, from experimentation. Like, I like that. That's the memories I have fondly of older games. Is
that's
like,
why
when you discover things yourself.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I'm really hoping they nail this parry system with Spider-Man 2. As well as making
that's a good question.
As well as balancing the difficulties.
But is it a system, or is it just like one move where you parry and then you do like the follow up is like one set follow up, and that's kind of it? Like, is that like you block and then it's like one attack, like, and then you can do that over and over? But is it like parry and then it opens you up to do?
The way they described it is like, there's unblockable attacks, and there's attacks that you can't dodge and you have to get a perfect parry timing on, which is really good. Because like, even with Spider-Man, like, now, like, the gameplay is very engaging, even if it's not that difficult. Like, you have to dodge something every 2 seconds in that game, especially in Miles Morales. I have a difficulty mod that makes the game harder on Miles Morales on PC. It is so much more fun. Like, when you're playing on a high difficulty.
Whenever y'all get
you got a question, Jacob?
Yeah, it's actually from Alanis. Which I have a video kind of I want to do recently on this. Do y'all think if the game is not difficult, does that ruin like the experience for you? Like, do you think is it not fun if a game is not challenging for you? Like, again, because like I would argue like Spider-Man 2018, like it's not really like obviously you can crank it up to the superior or whatever,
even then,
but
it's
it's
still
like
so easy.
yeah, it's not like a challenge because I feel like there's been a lot of discourse going on recently, and I know a few people who like if they don't struggle. And I also think that's a problem. Like I've talked about before, like how every game after Elden Ring wants to be both like open world and then like with Breath of the Wild success. And it's like now every game I feel like it wants to be Dark Souls. It's the same thing. Like I know like Rapid Reacts, he was telling me he plays Jedi Survivor on like the easier difficulties because he's like, I don't want to play Dark Souls in my Star Wars games. He's like, I want to feel like a Jedi, like does that hinder an experience for you if it's not challenging?
This is the way I think it's good to balance it out with Spider-Man as well as Arkham as well as Devil May Cry. I think they balance it out with action-packed, fluid, fun combat that is constantly just action-packed again. It's like and it's also very engaging. But my biggest problem with like Tears of the Kingdom, for example, is that game is piss easy and unengaging. So I can literally just sit there and not care about what I'm doing, and I can pass the combat system no problem. Like there's moments where I don't even have to dodge, or I'll just slightly move my stick to the left, and I'm just like, oh. Yeah. So that's kind of where I stand on that.
Yeah, Jonty.
I don't know. I think it's tough. Once again, it came back to something you said earlier, Jacob, about like different games call for different things. So
100%.
I would never want like the Souls formula to be dumbed down or taken away from what makes it special.
Agreed.
Because especially Dark Souls 1 is like it's like the way that game is designed is like the developers don't expect you to find everything in the game, but it's like what you do discover feels like organic and feels like you're discovering it. So they make all this content, you might only discover 60% of it. And I think that's just such a good way to make a game. I know it's not a very cost-effective way to make a game because it's like you want your player to see all the content in the game, but it just makes for such a better experience. But back to difficulty, I think difficulty and challenge can be two different things. I might say like I don't want an artificially boosted difficulty to the point where the game's not fair, like because there are games like that it's just like you just want to put it down because it doesn't feel fair. But like, challenging in the sense that enemy variety, creative solutions for problems that the player has to think of, no hand holding, like walkthrough tutorials coming up on your screen telling you exactly how to do something, or worse, a character in the game fucking screaming it at you. But I think that is bad. But like making the player use their brain and versus not making the player use their brain is a bad thing. That's a bad thing.
I got you.
As long as you're being engaged, that's fine.
I feel like my best way to describe it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, but it's like, imagine if Elden Ring or Souls game didn't have the difficulty. The combat would not be good. Like,
agreed, 100%.
It would not be good.
It is slash and dodge like that.
But I don't think the combat is what makes Souls games special though. It's the world and the level design and the exploration. And the discoverability of the world. That's what makes people like love Souls games. It's not the expertly crafted combat because it's very basic, like you said.
But for me, like I love I love the challenging boss battles. Like that is a big reason I like the Souls game. Again, like you said, each game calls for a different thing. I know when I'm going into a Souls game, I'm going to be frustrated, but like it is the overcoming of that like really makes it enjoyable for me. Again, I do not want that in every game. Like absolutely not. But yeah, I mean, I do enjoy like, the world building and all that, but I that game calls for that, but it's like, but I basically, you can kind of like sum it up. It's like, you can have engaging combat without it being difficult. You know what I mean? And you want engaging combat is what you're saying. Like,
yeah. I just don't want it to be just like, I don't want a combat system where I'm just sitting there like, I can't care about what's going on.
Just to show a bit of love to, I see Gaming Pastas in your chat.
Jacob. I do.
He mentioned Final Fantasy 16, like, and how it's very handholdy. Thoughts?
Yes.
I've only played the demo, so I don't know.
I saw his video on Final Fantasy 16. Completely agreed with it. Outside of what he said about the boss fights,
right.
The level design is not good in that game. It sucks. It is literally like he described it as they're basically just long hallways to get to the next cutscene or the next combat scenario.
Right.
That's literally exactly what it's like. There's no sense of exploration. There's no platforming. There's no puzzles. It's literally walk, combat, cutscene, walk, combat, cutscene. That's the gameplay loop.
But see, like, what I was telling him, like, where I'm enjoying that game, because, like, I'm not really, like, again, it's not that difficult to me. And there are a few bosses later that I did struggle a little bit with. But, man, like, I'd be lying if I didn't get, like, excited. Like, there's incredible music drowning out, like, these big scaled, like, they feel like God of War 3 level, like, size bosses, you know what I mean? Like, and like that is where I think the game really does shine, for sure. But
I don't think they've missed with any of the main story boss fights. Literally every single one is good.
Well, because I sent him a link to one, and he hadn't got there yet, where kind of you get your ultimate ability, and I feel like again, like. Yeah, like that, like, and I'm like, dude, I'm like, if you tell me that wasn't awesome, I'm like, that's crazy to me, like, because that was really cool.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know, just like that game being a little bit easier for me. I don't know, it's just not bothering me that much.
It kind of bothered me after a little bit with just the regular combat, not the boss fights. Just with the regular combat, it kind of bothered me. It's just a button mash. It really is just very button mashy with no, and 100%. It's not like Devil May Cry where you actually have to think about your button inputs. You're literally just pressing like R2 and square, R2 and triangle for your specials. And like, but to that point, it's like it's different with boss fights for me. Like, I don't need a boss fight to be challenging or have a bunch of different varied move sets for it to be good. If you give me like I think like for like Spider-Man PS4, for example, with like the Doc Ock boss fight, not challenging. Doc Ock doesn't have that many moves, but there's a character impact behind it. There's great dialogue. It's very cinematic, and it's just genuine fun to play. Like if a boss fight's just genuinely fun, it's good to me. I don't need it to be the most challenging thing in the world.
And that's how I am. Like because when I finish those big Final Fantasy 16 bosses, like I'm gassed up, dude. I'm like that was awesome.
The thing about that is like
that was so
but
cool.
This is what I hate what they do. They'll give you this phenomenal boss fight. It's like you're just like head over heels, just like your head's in the sky after what you just played. And then the pace of the story just slows down.
And I'm just like, I'm like frothing at the mouth for like them to be like, because you have to do all this little stuff, and then they're like, oh, we're going on that next big adventure to get to the next big boss fight where you're gonna get your upgrade, and I'm like, okay, now I'm invested again. But like that, there's this like in between in there again.
You know those points where like you start a mission and then you have to talk to like 3 different NPCs about something.
I just did that before we got on.
No, it's not. It's constant. It happens every single level. There's this girl that comes in. Her name is Mid, which is ironic because her levels are so fucking ass. Oh my! They're literally fetch quests for the main story. Not side content. It's fetch quests in the main story. That's why I haven't finished it, because there's so many moments like that. And it's so hard to get through.
I think when they get to those main story points and the main story beats, like it gets really good, but it is very fluffy. You know what I mean? But like, so like I understand it, but I don't know the difficulty in games. It can be I don't think games have to be hard to be enjoyable for sure, you know, but it's like I do like when there's engaging combat that, like, you know, you have to defeat a certain enemy. It's like you gotta think outside the box. You can't just button mash your way through it, you know. So like I understand those criticisms of games. So for sure.
Right. We should probably move on. What actually I like, so just back to Spider-Man 2. we all think it's going to be pretty good. Like, it's obviously not going to like flop or anything like that. Like,
yeah, 100%.
It's pretty much it's like it's a fair bet that it's going to be a good game.
Yeah,
and definitely an improvement on the first game. So
100%.
That's good. Just quickly, actually, because I took it off the list for some reason, but I did want to talk about just off the bat, what do you guys think should have, or do you agree with what won Game of the Year in 2018? I know you probably do, Jacob, but
I don't.
And if
so,
what do you think? What do you think should have won?
Honestly, no, I'm in a boat where, like, if I was trying to be, it's so hard to be objective in reviewing media, but like if I was going to, I don't think Red Dead 2 is better than Spider-Man, but I do think that God of War is a better game than Spider-Man. But I like Spider-Man more.
Yeah. No, I honestly, I think that's the most important. That's a total little tangent, but it's just like, I think that is important to notate and just be aware of that. Like, having complete and clear objectivity when you're talking about a game is like, it's almost impossible. And that's like, when people like watch our style content, like it's important. It's more important to know who you're listening to talk about a game and like what they like and they value in games. Like Deadbeat Devil, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's going to value the gameplay portion a million times over the story, where like me and Colin might hold that to a little bit of a higher standard, you know, or like we take, you know, we appreciate that a little bit more. And I think that's more important because, like I said, it is hard to just be like, oh, like, you know, objectively this should have won. It is really tough to, like,
I think
to do that.
The reason I'm saying, like, objectively I feel like God of War is a better game is purely because
I feel you though, 100%. Like, I think I would agree with that. It's like
statement. The boss fights are better. The story is more arguable. That's the most subjective point of the game. I think the 100%. Combat is definitely better in God of War 2018. I think the exploration factor and the level design is definitely.
You think the combat in God of War is better than Spider-Man?
Yes.
What?
I do. I do.
Even I don't think that. That's so wild.
Way.
And I don't. I'm not super crazy about Spider-Man's combat system.
I was about to say, yeah, I know you're not either. That is it. Like, is it because of just like there's more? Like, you think there's just more things to do as far as like, but like, man, like, dude, I'm telling you, like, there's something about like the weight behind like when I play God of War 2018, man, and I don't know how to describe it to this. It just feels good to me, man. Like, I love, you know, you got the axe, you can throw it at somebody, beat somebody to a pulp with your hands, rip them in half, call the axe back, go through 3 people, switch to the blades, juggle them in the, like, obviously not God of War 3 juggle them, but like there's some in there. But I don't know, like, whereas like Spider-Man's feels really good to me, but it's a bit more floaty, whereas like God of War is like feels very hefty, if that makes any sense.
Still think, like especially in Ragnarok, the verticality in the level design got a lot better. The enemy variety got a lot better. There's more tools for you to use, especially once you got all the weapons. There's so many different moves you can pull off outside of just like those the rune abilities or whatever. There's so many moves just in between all the different weapons, as well as having all the runic abilities. And then they also have these like the enemy designs are so fucking engaging, and it's actually difficult. It's fair difficult, and it's so good. Like, the only problem I know that you have that I remember is just the camera, right?
Yeah, I hate the camera.
Yeah, because he likes like the originals where it's panned out more and he can see everything.
The combat system is fighting itself constantly, and it shows when they have to band-aid it by. They want this Last of Us style camera because, for obvious reasons, they're trying to like pitch it as this Last of Us type game. And that's definitely, and people, I say that to this day, and people try to fight me on it. But if you watch the original gameplay demo, that game was 100% being sold as like a Last of Us type experience. Like the original gameplay demo, half of it is them just walking around trying to hunt this deer, and then there's like one combat encounter in the whole thing, and the rest is all scripted encounters. But the combat system is because it's using that camera, it has to band-aid the solution of you can't see behind you by having the traffic cone underneath Kratos, which just completely pulls me out of the experience. Ooh,
man, see, like for me though, like that's just so, like you were saying earlier how wild that is. Like that's so wild to me. Like it doesn't bother me that much. Like I like I like that perspective.
Literally, the only time it bothers me is when you're in tight spaces.
Yeah.
I don't.
Celeste game of the year in 2018. That's a great game.
Like I just don't. I just can't see the camera. Can you talk, or like outside of the camera, like what about the actual combat system, like the enemy variety, the moves you can pull off, the enemy designs, like the parry system, the dot and how it's mixed with the dodges and the unblockables and the attacks that you have to parry and you can't dodge, like shit like that.
I don't find like my camera's just my battery's overheated in my DSLR, so I'm just gonna.
I got you. I was wondering if mine.
So like I don't mind the unblockables and the attacks that you are able to block and stuff like that and cause parries, and parrying in any game is a good thing to have. Like, first of all, it's good.
I feel like that should just be in everything, honestly. It's
100%.
It's like my favorite thing in combat systems.
Which is why it was so good in Resident Evil 4 Remake. Like, it was so good that was in there. But like I guess that doesn't outweigh for me the camera, and then also I don't like, people talk about the runic attacks and shit like that, but any game where there's just gonna be like you push 2 buttons together to do some big like special move, and then that's on a 30-second cooldown that you can't change, like that's just not interesting to me, because it's like I think I said this to you, Colin, but a way to improve the system in combat, in God of War, the combat system is to still give the player access to the same runic attacks, but make it so that they're weaker, so you can do them more often, so that the moment-to-moment gameplay is more engaging. Because some of the times, like, especially, real
quick to that point. I think the reason that they have them on this cooldown is because they are big damaging attacks that you have to leave, like some of them you have to leave yourself open for, and some enemies don't even get stunned by them, so you have to be cautious when you use them sometimes, especially when you're crowded with a lot of different enemies. I think a better solution to what you're saying is like maybe cut down, or I feel like you would agree with this, maybe cut down the time for it to cool down, right? But also maybe bring in like a combo meter and have that build towards getting those runic attacks back. But the other thing about the runic attacks is those aren't your only viable options for attack. Like, there's so many different moves to pull off that, like, those runic attacks aren't a necessity to use. They're just cool abilities that you get once you once they come back.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But also, like, and I guess another thing is like you only have one weapon for the majority of the game, so it's like there's not, once you get the blades, it's good that option is there, which is actually why I liked Ragnarok so much better, is because you start with the blades, you start with the axe. The combat off the jump is just way better. Like, no, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not gonna lie. My first time playing God of War 2018, I was asking my chat because I was streaming it. I was like, it was literally like an hour before you got the Blades of Chaos. I was like, okay, are we gonna get a new weapon or something? Because I was like, if we just stay with this one weapon, it's gonna get pretty repetitive. And then once I got the Blades of Chaos, I was like, oh yeah, like this is, and then especially in Ragnarok when you have it just off rip, and then you get the staff, it's like mixing all three of those weapons together, combined with all the things I was talking about earlier with like the enemy designs, parry system, yada yada yada. It's just, I can't see how the camera. I also don't have a problem with the camera, so I'm just like, I don't see.
There's just, I guess it's because I played 2018 on Gimme God of War, so there was many times where I would just get hit from behind me, and because you die in like 2 hits in that fucking mode, which is just absurd. First of all, like the difficulty, the Gimme God of War difficulty is just masochist. Like, it's like, why you're just punishing yourself by playing that, and it's not fair at all, to be honest. Like, I don't think the balancing for that difficulty is good.
Oh wait, is that the hardest one, or is that
the hardest one? Yeah,
okay,
Gimme God of War is the hardest.
I played the one right before that.
Oh,
I think there's 4 main ones. I played on the 3rd.
I
didn't play Ragnarok on Gimme God of War. I played Ragnarok on the second hardest.
I think it's called Gimme a Challenge. I think
Give Me a Challenge.
It's No Mercy. It's No Mercy.
Oh, No Mercy.
I thought that was very well balanced.
Yeah,
that
was. I feel like I definitely feel like that's the best difficulty.
That's the ideal way to play the game. 100%.
I was like, just to your point, Jonty. I think literally if you I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure if you hover over that one, it literally says like, "This is the way we intended the game to be played." Was on the give me a challenge difficulty, and that's why I eventually took that leap to go towards that one.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive that it has that. I don't remember that on Ragnarok, but 2018, I'm almost very positive.
Okay.
I felt like it was very well balanced. Difficulty,
no, it definitely is. That's the problem. You made a video about this, and I commented under. It's like the difficulty options are great if they're done well, but if they're not done well, they're not done well. No,
yeah, it's just like cool. Yeah, it's like, you know, just because I die faster and you take more hits, it's like that can be really crappy really quickly.
Like, to talk about Sifu real quick, like I think that game's hardest difficulty is better in the boss fights, but the second highest difficulty is better in just the regular combat. I feel like it's more fun.
So you know what's crazy? I can't really speak on that because I platinumed Sifu before there was a difficulty on there. There was no difficulty when I played Sifu.
Yes, I
didn't.
And I have the platinum trophy in February where I had to beat the game under age 25. And it was the original difficulty. So honestly, I don't really know how the tiers work on there, but it was tough, bro. It was tough. But I love it.
I agree with that. Like, because I actually agree with your point, Colin. I think the boss fights, they're good, but they're not as good as the normal combat in Sifu. I think the normal combat is way more fun when you're bouncing between enemies and using the environment, and like that's much more engaging.
I had this Moon Knight mod. They gave you the Moon Knight MCU skin. It was like,
that's so cool.
It was. So,
I saw people using like Daredevil and like Batman and stuff.
Yeah, I love those.
That's why I like cosmetics so much. Like, I know you made a point about this devil. It's like, oh, it's just cosmetics, but like, I feel like for me personally, like a cosmetic item could give me a whole new experience on a game. Like playing as Moon Knight, or Batman or Deathstroke, like that shit just feels so cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine, but I think if a game, I think that's good to have, and I think it does add to the experience. But I think if the game's selling that as like most of the stuff you discover, like as a reward for exploration, like it's not. I don't think that's. Yeah, I don't think that's good. I think it needs to be in addition to.
I think I don't know if we came to an agreement on the Jedi Survivor thing, but you said it was only cosmetics, and that's like objectively wrong because it's
not only, but obviously you get like health upgrades and shit like that, but and force upgrades and stuff, but what else I and if there's more than that, feel free to correct me because I honestly don't remember anything beyond health.
You get the health and force upgrades, you get those challenge force rifts, you get the lore bits, which you probably won't care about. You get the little lore bits, you get the what's it called? It's the like the hidden boss fights, hidden puzzle rooms.
But I mean like rewards that change the kit or the way that you play the game. Like or upgrades to your character or things that is going to change the way you play moving forward. I know Tears of the Kingdom doesn't have this either, but like new things for your character or outside of the main story moments where you get like the blaster and shit like that.
Give me 1 second, guys. I just gotta take a very quick bathroom break because
you're good, bro.
A good minute.
I'm trying to think if there is some. I guess you could say it gives you a lot of XP in those a lot of other things, which if you don't get enough XP, you're not gonna have access to all the moves that you would have, or that you wouldn't have if you didn't do these certain challenges and boss fights and collect the lore bits and do all these puzzles. But there's also I don't know if they're main story beats, but there's 2 different BD1 upgrades. You know what I'm talking about? Where you you get the purple stuff, and then you also get there's a side mission in the game. Yeah, there's a side mission in the game where you get this BD1 upgrade, and it unlocks all these different things with all these different boss fights or like all the collectible things that I was just talking about. Like you get that electric thing, and that opens up a bunch of different stuff. And same with the purple stuff, but I think the purple stuff's main story stuff.
Yeah. I think that is part of the story because I think you need it to progress in one of the planets. I can't remember, but Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, cosmetics. Either way, like the suits in Spider-Man and the suits in Arkham and stuff. Like it's good. It's definitely good to add. I actually miss. I wish. I like the way that like Amazing Spider-Man 1 did it. The game where
With
you
the comic
like
books.
yeah, or was that how you got the suits? Or was it Amazing Spider-Man 2 where you like attack the compounds? You'd attack like Kingpin or whatever villain it was, compounds, and the suits would be like in the reward for taking and you'd get a random one every time. I fucking love that shit. I wish it would integrate it into gameplay.
I don't know how that system works. I think a lot of people. I do not know why people talk about Spider-Man like in the side content aspect, like, oh, you gotta collect all these backpacks. This is boring. I'm like, dude, you're just gonna find it while you're web swinging normally. It's like, that's why I feel like side content in Spider-Man is so fun. It's because, like, it's fun as shit to web swing, and then just finding these collectibles that also add to the universe and the lore of it and Spider-Man's backstory. It's such a good choice for that game to make. It's just not like other video game collectibles, like even Ratchet and Clank. Like, those collectibles mean nothing. Whereas the collectibles and like the backpacks in Spider-Man, they actually add things to the narrative.
But also, if you just don't do it, if you think it's boring, like it's not like that's like one of the side content in Spider-Man. Like if people don't want to do it, it's not necessary to progress or whatever.
It's also like the pigeons thing. People were like complaining, like, "Oh, what is this pigeon side mission?" I'm like, bro, you have fun web swinging. Now you just have to chase a pigeon. It's like, what's the difference? You're chasing a pigeon. You're getting a nice little story with this homeless guy and his dead wife. It's like, the web swinging's fun. What is the problem? Like, it's not like it's boring to web swing. It's not like it's boring to chase after this pigeon. It's like, I don't get the thing, or like the problem.
Yeah, no, I think the only side content I want Spider-Man to improve is just the crimes, and also maybe have a couple like villain of the week villains that just kind of like pop up in the city.
Big Wheel.
That would be peak. Yeah, big wheel, like some shit like that.
No, I
just think that would help. Like how some of the side content works for Arkham Knight, where it's like you've got like a wheel and it's like all these villains are doing different things. You can go tackle them however you want, type thing.
I think what's it called? I think they need to add more Tombstone like missions, which I think they're going to do.
Yeah. That was great.
That was probably the best side mission in that game, outside of maybe Taskmaster. But all the I honestly just want more traversal challenges and just different challenge activities throughout the map. I think I gave a really good idea where it's like, you know how in Super Mario Maker, people around the community make levels for Mario, and like GTA, you can like change the map to make like racetracks. If Spider-Man was to implement something like that, like community design traversal challenges or combat challenges, that would be fucking amazing.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. Someone in your chat, Jacob, just asked, what do you three think of Starfield? It looks awesome.
I was just about to bring that up, because just be like, I think we're all in agreement that like not really that excited for it, to be honest.
I saw you earlier in the chat, Jaro's wife, saying you think it's gonna be like Game of the Year or whatever. So I hate to burst your bubble, bro. But
I know.
None of us are really keen for it.
I did mention earlier, I really, for the people who are excited for it, I really hope they deliver what they promise. But that's my biggest thing, is I'm worried that's not going to deliver, like, because it is a lot, man. That is a lot they are promising to us. So I'm not really sure.
Yeah, 100%.
I wouldn't even care about the if the gameplay actually looked good, then I would be excited for it, but I'm not.
I feel that.
Okay, let's move on. We got the next. Oh, this is the big one. I think you're excited for this one, Jacob. Is Sony revolutionized narrative storytelling? Brackets, games don't tell a story like a Sony game. Mm-hmm. I'll agree, games don't tell a story like Sony game because they're movies, but anyway.
No, they're not.
There's not many games that.
You want to say that about Detroit Become Human? You want to say that about Final Fantasy? Yeah.
Hey, you can't pick multiple choices in a movie, bro.
Right.
You can't choose how the narrative unfolds in a movie.
Yeah, but those are cutscenes.
Yeah, like to me, like you said, like Life is Strange, Walking Dead. I love both of those games. Those are movie games, no doubt. But like God of War Ragnarok, like let's say specifically, what is it? It's probably like a 30-hour game, And I think there is
I beat all the like me personally. It took me 48 hours to beat
me
all the
too.
side content.
It took me about 50. Yeah.
Yeah, it was around that ballpark. And I'm pretty
and
sure there's only 8 hours, 10 hours of cutscenes. It's
you're correct. Yeah.
It's like
I don't think it's just a cutscene fest. Like I'm not. That's not the only reason.
No,
but...
I feel you because like the characters are constantly having dialogue and stuff like that.
I also just don't think it uses anything unique about games as a medium to tell a story in an interesting way.
Right. Like
I don't think
games.
I don't think God of War does anything that. Yeah, sorry.
I personally disagree with that because. Personally, one of the things that makes exploration so fun with God of War to me is Mimir. Mimir is literally so fucking funny, and he adds. Not only is he just a personality that you can just always enjoy, but he adds stuff to the lore, the characters. He's sitting there having conversations with Atreus and Kratos, and one of the things I mentioned in my review about the game is like. Throughout the whole thing, it's like all these characters have such different views and life experiences, and they all have just these great conversations, and they build off each other's life experiences to better or get a new perspective on something that one of their pieces of internal conflict. I forget the exact dialogue thing, but I have it clipped because it just hits so hard, and it's just such a subtle thing with between Kratos and Mimir, and there's just so many moments where like. Kratos is genuinely like asking him because he sees him as essentially a brother, where he's asking him for stuff like parenting advice or just getting a new outlook on a scenario that Kratos might not have the full mental capacity to actually engage with. I feel like I'm using a lot of big words here, but fucking, it's so hard to explain what I mean. It's kind of just like.
But how is that something that couldn't be done in a movie?
Because there's no exploration in movies. There's like nobody wants. It's
no,
like
but all you mentioned was dialogue. Like it's like, oh yeah, they had some good dialogue.
It's like the last. It's like the last. Hold on, wait. It's like The Last of Us. That show cuts out so many character moments that happen during the gameplay. And and that's why that's exactly what I mean. It's like,
no, I agree with that, but I think that's also just because the show was too short. It didn't have enough time.
Like if you're
that was all. But if the show was longer, it would have enough time to flesh the characters out just as well as the game did.
Yeah, but
I guess you're looking at this like movies and games. I just look at it as a storytelling, and like they've just chosen the video game to again. It just comes down to like how you view things and like what you like in games. It's like they've chosen a video game to tell the medium. You know that is the medium that they've chosen to tell this story, and it's like. I like good storytelling. I like good games. I think my thing died, didn't it? Oh, shoot. No, my phone died.
Oh, no.
It's all good.
Dip. I was worried about that.
It's okay. We can address some of the chat while you're getting a. You guys should do this more often. Thanks, Joe.
Someone said, can someone tell me why saying a game is a movie is a bad thing? I think it comes down to personal preference. Like Deadbeat, he prefers gameplay. And like I even understand it. Like people don't want to sit through cutscenes because I'm going through this right now with Final Fantasy 16. There's so many cutscenes and I don't care for a good bit of them. And I just feel like I just want to play the game.
Yeah,
but it's also like a game like Detroit Become Human. That game has almost no gameplay, but it does have those interesting narrative choices that you bring up. Like you control the narrative and how it plays out. It also has pretty good level designs, honestly. Like where you're like scanning stuff, or like not. I wouldn't say like scanning stuff.
Like the stuff when you were like Connor and you were like detective or whatever. And,
like the opening mission, for example. You're using the environment to maybe better a decision or make a good decision, or it influences your decision. Shit like that. It's like I don't think that's a. I still have an 8 out of 10 because the gameplay is just, it's not.
Yeah, no, the gameplay is not good at all. No.
Yeah.
I think if like that's the only thing that holds Telltale Games, Detroit, Heavy Rain, like those sorts of games. That's the only thing that holds those games up in my mind, is the deep narrative choices you can make. Not so much in Telltale Games, because it basically boils down to very similar endings, but especially in Detroit, the amount of different choices, it's like a choose your own adventure book.
I think there's like 12 different endings you can get in that game.
It's insane, and it always feels like whenever you finish it, if you finished it without seeing anything about the game, you would, like, all the endings are fleshed out enough that you would have felt like you've got, like, the most fleshed out ending or whatever. Like, you would have felt like you've got the definitive ending for the game. So that's the only thing that keeps those games from being movie games or whatever, is the fact that you get to choose how the narrative plays out. Whereas in something like Final Fantasy, you're just watching cutscenes. Like, literally a movie.
But the other aspect, I said this to you like in the call, but it's like the other aspect of that is like I still like God of War story more than Detroit Become Human. So when you're mixing in gameplay, like puzzles, exploration, combat, all that stuff, and I still like the story more, it's like the narrative choice, or like the fact that I'm not controlling the narrative, doesn't matter as much to me, because like what the narrative I'm getting is like it's amazing.
How do you feel about people that say Ragnarok has a bad narrative? I don't know. I don't really understand it, but whatever. Like,
I've heard legitimately rarely. The only points I've ever heard is like maybe some characters should have been fleshed out slightly more, which is just like I don't really care for it. It's like I feel like what we got was great in terms of characters and their development and their, there's the aspects of them. The pacing is a valid criticism. I think it definitely drags, especially in the Ironwood part.
I see your question, Pom. How did Sony revolutionize anything, though? We'll wait for Jacob to come back to address it, because I think he said he was keen to have some thoughts about it. Life is Strange. I never played them, but heard.
Someone said, I'll never skip a cutscene on a first playthrough, even if the story is bad, because I need the context for the gameplay to feel more engaging, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not like that at all. Hey, I literally skip cutscenes like no tomorrow. Like I don't like in the Final Fantasy 16 demo, I got so bored. Like I probably made it a good half hour of playing, watching all the cutscenes and stuff. But then I just got fed up, bro. I was like, fuck this. And I just skipped everything. I was like, I can't. I just want to get to see. I just wanted to feel what the gameplay was like, and it wasn't until the very end of the demo, in an extra mode where you got to play as adult Clive with all the powers and to actually see what the meat of the gameplay was. So I was like, fuck this, just like, let me see if it's going to be the type of gameplay I like before you hammer all this story shit into me. Like, I don't care. It might not even be the type of gameplay I like. Like,
yeah, I get it.
I don't know.
I could imagine. It was funny because when I was playing the demo, I was like, dude, he's gonna hate this shit.
That's why I still haven't bought it. I'm just like, I'll probably get it when it goes on sale. Like Final Fantasy 15 and 7 have, like, a year later they go on sale really cheap, because like people may buy these games initially but they don't last. Like, that's why there's fucking 20 of these Final Fantasy games. Like, they're not long-lasting games.
Hold on. Someone said, you say Leon having no arc is an issue, which I won't argue with, but do you feel the same thing about Ellie also having no arc in The Last of Us 2? She does have an arc. What are you talking about?
Isn't the whole point of the game that she lets go of her revenge and anger? That's like
she lets her go of her revenge and accepts Joel's decision and comes to it, or she comes to accept it. Like, that's,
if you mean like nothing really changes, I get, like, she's left in a worse way than when she started. Like, there's no like happy ending, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't get a happy ending, that's still, you get a character development. You don't need it's called a bitter ending. It's a story.
Well, explain Warner why she doesn't have an arc. I see that message. Explain. If you can somehow flesh this out, I'll be very impressed. But I don't see a way for you to, like, it's pretty even as I'm a Last of Us 2 hater, and you can still see that what the developers intended by the end.
Yeah,
it's definitely the ending fight with Odin and Thor in God of War Ragnarok did feel a little anticlimactic.
I don't agree at all.
Odin's fight was kind of lame, but all the fights with Thor were pretty good. They were all really good. This is gonna happen again. Wish I watched the whole thing. Bro, you guys are loving it. Thanks for all the love.
He can't.
Colin, why is so? Wait, someone in Jacob's chat. Colin, why don't you like RE4 remake? He does like it. Where's this come from?
I don't know. I gave because I gave a game that's highly praised, not a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly.
I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think it's great. Like, I don't know what.
Rated, I see your message, bro, about Sony storytelling. We're gonna get to it when Jacob gets back.
Hold on.
I see all you guys' messages about it.
SK reacted to your video. He's still making no sense. I honestly don't care. I genuinely, I don't care.
Bro's got power.
He can keep talking if he wants.
Oh my god, bro.
Bro, SK's gonna not let this go, man.
He has a 12-hour live stream reacting to my live stream that I made about his response video, and my live only about 2 hours of it actually addresses his video because we got about an hour of the way into his video. Just stopped watching it.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you, bro.
Cool, sweet.
The battle leading up to the Odin and Thor boss fight was boss, but the oh, what, really? I feel like that Ragnarok itself was actually pretty underwhelming. Like, it was fine. It wasn't. I remember a lot of people shitting on it when it came out. Like, when you actually started the war or whatever. Like, it was like, oh, this is kind of underwhelming.
Nah,
like,
when Kratos blows that horn and the music starts playing.
Yeah, that goes hard. Yeah. But I mean, the battle itself.
Yeah,
like,
that goes
only
hard.
Seeing, like, I kind of like didn't like how you could only see the World Serpent and Thor fighting from a distance. Like, I was like, man, it would be so good to have the camera up in that, like, seeing some creative shots, and you just see them in the distance. I'm like, damn, that'd be cool if we were fucking closer.
I agree that there could have been more action set pieces in that Ragnarok ending, but like, we got all these fucking great character conclusions and character moments throughout with it, and then we got 2 great boss fights. I'm like, I was satisfied with that shit.
Yeah, I get you.
Okay, so we had a message here from here we go. How Pomodoro asked, how did Sony revolutionize anything though, storytelling? So since you made the claim, Colin, do you want to like elaborate or maybe clarify on what you?
I don't know if I want to elaborate because I don't know if I agree with my original premise in terms of like, but I do. It's more of my personal feelings because when I played Last of Us for the first time, no game ever made me feel like that game did. And it's like the way they take. I feel like Sony just takes so much. They take their stories so much more seriously than other games, and especially with their characters. Like they just, it's just a feeling that a lot of games don't. Like it's the reason. It's one of the main reasons why most of my top 10 games are Sony games because their narratives impact me so much. Like more than any movie has ever done. Like even Across the Spider-Verse, that's my favorite movie right now. It's nowhere near the level of Spider-Man PS4 to me. It's nowhere near God of War Ragnarok to me. It's nowhere near Detroit Become Human. It's nowhere near Ghost of Tsushima. It's like...
Oh, really? Damn. I don't think Ghost Story is anything to really write home about. Like, I think it's good. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I don't think it's like incredible though. I don't think in Sucker Punch is the best. Like, they're still really good and leagues above anything Xbox has ever put out. But
100%.
But I don't think they're like up there with Naughty Dog in terms of like stories.
I agree,
like, I think they're stronger in gameplay personally.
If we had majority games pumping out stuff like Sucker Punch did, I would still be very satisfied. Than,
100%.
100%. But it's not on that same level.
There needs to be more developers. Like
Sucker Punch to me balances both so great.
Yep.
They've got great gameplay and awesome stories. Again, Sucker Punch.
I think Infamous has a great story. Like Infamous Second Son has a great story.
Yeah, I think it's great, but it's not near Last of Us. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's not as good as Naughty Dog puts out.
No, because that's what I was gonna say, and I touched on it just a little bit earlier, and I think I don't even remember where I went, dude. Of course, my camera and mic are like all connected, so I wasn't charging it, and I couldn't see the percentage, and I was like, oh god, it just died. But anyways, like, did Sony revolutionize storytelling? It's like maybe not, but I feel like they've done a really good leap as far as like the way in which stories were told, and then like not even that as much as just like have they revolutionized characters in stories? It's like I think they've taken a really good leap because like name me one character in the past 20 years that is even remotely as well realized again, or or anything on the same level of like Joel and Ellie in The Last of Us. I mean,
I would
try. You're not gonna get there.
I personally like.
Are you talking about in games or just other media?
Yeah, in game.
Oh, okay.
Are you talking about their relationship?
Just as a character. I mean, Joel and Ellie are like, they feel like real people to me. Like,
oh yeah, they do feel like real people to me. But Spider-Man, I like Spider-Man a lot. It's maybe because it's Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man, but like, I think Peter and Spider-Man's writing in Spider-Man.
That feels a bit of me. That feels a bit. That's a pre-existing character.
Yeah, but that also is a Sony. That's a Sony game. Is what I'm saying.
All right, yeah. All right, wait. It's a pre-existing character, but mind you, before that game came out, Spider-Man was not my favorite character. When that game came out, Spider-Man is not my favorite character. I will never leave.
But do you think it did anything thematically out of character that hasn't been done before in any other Spider-Man media?
No, I do think no. I mean,
you know what I mean? Like Joel was like an original character, so it's like arguably like it's like pretty impressive that they've pulled that out of their
I see people talking Red Dead 2 in the chat, which is again pretty which is I think valid. Like I said, I'm not saying it's like they're the only guys, but like when we talk about like they've taken a big leap, but even in God of War, me and Jonty have talked about like people who say the original God of War games didn't have good stories. That's not true. But is Kratos a better character in 2018 in Ragnarok? Absolutely. Yes. 100%. Like as far as just like the way that they tell that character story and how real that he feels, it's night and day different. So it's like
the story,
and that's what I get invested in.
The story I want to see from God of War is what happened between 2018 and 3, like because it feels like he's already changed as a character at the start of 2018. Like it feels like that development, the biggest development of his character, already happened off screen. I want to see what led to that. Like, that's what I want to see. That's what's compelling.
I disagree with that because he still hasn't developed. He's still struggling with.
How does he change like drastically from the start of 2018 to the end of 2018?
Well, one, his relationship with Atreus, he finally accepts him as like he gives him like he's finally able to look at his son and finally able to like give him a hug, like whereas before he was like pushing him away. In a sense, he wasn't accepting that fatherhood role because he didn't feel like he was fit for it. So that's one of the aspects, and then the other aspect is like Boulder is a parallel of him. And like in the sense that he won't let that rage go, and he won't allow himself to change as a person, and it's like Kratos is still struggling with holding in that inner rage, and he just doesn't feel like he can get to that point. But throughout the story, and even in Ragnarok, where he has a slightly different arc, but it still builds off his arc from the first game, because in Ragnarok, it was Atreus that impacted his arc, and like saying that because like he was saying close your heart to people. So that you don't have to feel their suffering and stuff like that. And by the end of the game, it's Atreus who makes that impact on him and makes him change in that aspect of his character.
I feel like, to me, and also this may be because they changed the voice actor, they changed the style of gameplay and stuff. It may just be twisting my mind a little bit, but I think because I feel like this is undeniable. The character that Kratos was at the end of God of War 3 versus the character he was at the start of God of War 2018, the difference between those characters is larger than where he was at the start of 2018 by even the end of Ragnarok.
Well, I still think even in Ragnarok,
you know what I mean?
I still think even in Ragnarok in 2018, like they do those flashbacks and talk about the past and what like him and Faye's relationship was like, and how he was still struggling once he got to the north side of, or North mythology, whatever you want to call it, once he like left.
Yeah, I know, but I want a game about that. I don't want like flashbacks.
No,
boring. Like, I want to see like, because I feel like Faye would be a really compelling person to see how she changed him, because we haven't seen we don't know, like there's a little bit about his wife and family in the original games, but not nothing. Really.
You know what I think would be
like I said, it's all in flashbacks.
You know what I think would be a really interesting DLC is if we played as Faye. Like, you know how like you get that one side mission with Thor and her, and they like fought in the past.
Yep.
It's like if you were to play as Faye and like her stuff with the giants, I feel like that would add like so much more, as well as seeing Kratos' story throughout that DLC, but also seeing Faye. I think that would be a really good DLC to that point of wanting to see Kratos before God of War 2018.
It's actually surprising that they never made any standalone single player DLC for either of the games. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty
right.
interesting.
Yeah, I think they said there is no DLC coming.
Yeah,
I mean, they didn't either with Last of Us 2 either. Which is weird. Dude, oh my god, like a DLC with Tommy in Seattle showing what he was doing, I would be all over that shit. That would be so good. Oh no, and it's weird because they did Left Behind for the first game.
I think Left Behind was kind of needed. Whereas, I wouldn't say needed, like, it's not like The Last of Us needed that story, but I think it's really...
No, definitely more needed than Tommy's stuff in Seattle would be needed for
sure.
Last of Us 2.
I think the Left Behind does two things really well. It shows Ellie's survival instincts on her own and how she struggles with that, and then it also kind of sets up her like, conflict, I guess, for the second game, and, like, more of who she is as a person. So I think it does both. I think it services both games really well.
Stubbs said, to be fair, more time passed between 3 and 2018 to Ragnarok in 2018. Yeah, but that's what I mean, is that the character, the arc between 3 and 18 would be so peak. Like, that would be so good.
I don't disagree. I would really love to see, like, how he got there. Like, I really would. Like, no question.
Like, I get why they started where they did in 2018 but it would be
like,
so
my thing
good.
is, like I said, I love both, man. Like, I love both. I like the originals for different reasons, and I love the new ones, man. Like, I think all of them
talking about Ratatouille in the background and fucking Remy.
Yes, sir. we on a Pixar binge today.
Pixar.
What improvement are you most hyped for in Spider-Man 2? Hopefully better web swinging.
I've made so many videos about that, about improvements I can make. So if you kind of want to see that, there's just more. It's more detailed and expressed in those videos than I could do it right now.
I think me and Colin have similar opinions on what we both want to see from.
Yeah, I also had the same kind of conversation with somebody else, because you don't think the web swinging is as like that top tier. Whereas I do, but I still think it can make massive improvements.
Ratatouille is the best Pixar film, hands down. Incredible solos, but
anyway. Incredibles is on top for me, but Ratatouille's dang close.
Yeah, Ratatouille's
Have you watched Soul? Have y'all watched Soul? Because that's my favorite Pixar movie.
No, I haven't seen that actually.
I love Soul. I love Soul. Me and John, when we first went on live a while ago, we were talking about it because he's like big into movies and stuff too, and I was like, oh, that's so funny. So we were doing a little movie chat.
Yeah,
too,
I was saying that's a little. I was like, it's so weird to me that he's like he's in school for like film and stuff, and like he doesn't and like with
I don't like movie games.
He doesn't like he doesn't like appreciate.
Oh god, I didn't even think about that. That is really funny, man.
Yeah, I study film and I work in media as well, but I don't. I like games because they're games. That's at the end of the day.
That's fun.
What attracts us?
Yeah, I just like all different kinds, man. Like I said, I like games that, like, I love Devil May Cry 5. I like God of War 2018, Last of Us, but like I guess, like I said, just to wrap up that, like, Sony revolutionized. It's like I wouldn't say they revolutionized it, but I think they're making really good strides in story-driven games, because like people like, I know Jonty is not that big on them, but like I like a lot of their narrative-driven games.
I think I just think they're at the top when it comes to narrative games, like story.
games. 100%. It's like there's nobody else. Xbox they're not doing anything. So
Nintendo. I don't even think it's like
Nintendo is not putting out anything.
I don't even think it's just console exclusives. Just like games in general. I think there's very few games that come close to like my favorite stories from Sony exclusives.
Yeah, that's what I mean. 100%.
If there was more competition, I could argue that they're not the best, but I can still say they're the best and still think they're not very good. Like they're still great, but
funny.
Yeah, like
I was clamoring for a Last of Us show for ages, man. Like I was like, please, like get the right actors in. This could be peak. It would be so good.
Buddy, I'm ready for that to be my next video. There's not a single thing that the show does that's better than the game. Not a single thing, bro.
I would say there's a couple things that I like more, like the the opening scenes of the first and second episodes. I love those.
Yep. I loved those too.
Oh yeah,
I love
the opening of the first episode.
I also think
the problem is, bro, is they made all these changes and then they didn't do anything with it. Yeah. So hear me out on this. They made Sam deaf. How cool would it have been? Do you remember the mission where Joel gets put with Sam and Ellie gets put with Henry, and they get split when they're in the sewers? How cool would it have been to Joel
see both of those?
He can't communicate because Sam's deaf, so like that would have created great conflict. They removed that entirely. It plays out exactly
so much conflict from the show, so much.
Except he's just deaf, and it's like that didn't add anything. That didn't add any value. The hive mind, cool. It never comes up after episode 2. It's like, I thought it was a cool change, but like everyone just thinks I hated the changes. And it's like, no, y'all changed stuff and then you didn't do anything with it. So it's like, you just wasted time. You cut out story beats and then you're like, I think it's
purely the only things I think it did better was the first 2 episodes. After that, not even close.
100%. Not even close.
So to get my thoughts on this topic, I don't think in any way Sony revolutionized storytelling in games. I don't think they've done anything to push new ground or break any new barriers or anything. They've literally just taken cinematic conventions and slapped them in games, and they tell good stories, but with extremely good production value. Yeah. And a lot of, like I said, cinematic conventions, a lot of shot for shot, like especially Last of Us is like some of those cut scenes are better directed than some movies. Like, and the acting is incredible, and that's why while I think it's really good, I don't think it's broken any new ground or like pushed any barriers or anything. Like it's just like it's kind of the only thing around right now, and the only thing that is like there's no games that are telling. Like there's not really any other developers that are telling compelling single player stories in any genre on any platform outside of Sony. Like everything else is kind of just pushing gameplay or stuff like that. So there's nothing really that's come out on any other platform that's married gameplay with story in a better way than Sony's done at the moment.
Yeah.
Which
that's the
sucks.
thing. I just rock with it. So I love it, man. Because like, again, I can play old games that I really love, but it's like there's not a heck of a lot there that like, again, like BioShock is one of the original ones that like I was really impressed with, like story wise. Even then, like there's not a single character in BioShock that's even remotely on the same level.
That's a very plot driven story. It kind of relies on its plot twist.
The best character in BioShock is Rapture, the city.
100%. But like I said,
the history of the city is the best character in the game.
Yeah, I don't even think.
Like I said, it's just.
I think the only real interesting characters in BioShock is the Thank You Kindly guy. What's his name?
Atlas.
Atlas. Yeah.
Andrew Ryan's still really compelling.
Yeah, I like Andrew Ryan. Yeah, I like Andrew Ryan.
I don't really like how I don't like how the main character doesn't talk.
But it's for a reason. Did you finish the game?
I get it, but like.
It's part of the plot, but also but he doesn't need to speak. I don't know. I don't think he need just the same way Isaac Clarke didn't need to speak in the original Dead Space. I don't think he needed to speak in that game. It's like cool to see it done in the remake where he speaks now occasionally, but I don't think it like took the storytelling to a whole other level that he spoke in the remake.
I think the Isaac speaking in the game kind of makes his character arc of accepting his wife is dead more impactful, and it also just makes him feel like a real person with fear. Like when he speaks, because like when you're running into she's like, oh shit, and like stuff like that. It's just like makes him just feel like a real person.
I think it depends what game, I suppose. There's just definitely games like I'd argue like, and Kat's not gonna like this in my chat, but like I think if Gordon Freeman spoke in Half-Life 2, I think that would make the game a lot better. I think it would add a lot more, because Gordon doesn't really have a character per se in Half-Life 2. So there's certain games where it would benefit a lot, and then other games where I'm like, I don't feel like I'm being. And it's even better explained in BioShock 2, because you're playing as like a big daddy who can't speak, like they're just muted. And to the same point, I don't think Booker is some S tier character because he speaks now in BioShock Infinite. I don't think he's like that much better than Jack, to be honest with you. Like, he's fine, but honestly, most of what makes Booker interesting is the fact that, spoiler alert for a game that came out 10 years ago, he's Comstock. That's what makes him compelling as a character. Is Comstock is what makes him interesting. But I don't think it really takes away very much from the game. But anyway, that sums up my thoughts. I don't think Sony's pushing new ground or doing anything really interesting. I also think that their games just could benefit a lot from like more environmental storytelling, like what's in BioShock, like just exploring the world, seeing the effects of whatever events are meant to be happening in the world.
I think God of War.
That's what it.
I think God of War Ragnarok does that really well. Like,
how so? Like with the dialogue and stuff?
Even without the dialogue, like there's lore bits, and again, like Mimir's story. I mean, that's dialogue.
What do you mean lore bits though? Like,
it's like the lore bits that just add to the world that makes it feel like more.
But what, like a cutscene? Or
no, like the collectibles.
Well, I guess give me an example in BioShock, because I'm like, I love both of these games. Like, what exactly do you mean in BioShock? Like,
so in like, just take the medical pavilion for an example. The whole level is its own character. Like, everywhere you walk in that game is like in that level specifically is like, you can tell what happened here with the corpses strewn up. You've got writing on the wall. You've got like the audio diaries. You've got all these like.
I mean, that's dialogue. So.
Yeah, true. That's a good point.
Right. I would say, hold on, wait, that real quick.
The environment tells a story about what this place was before, and also it promotes you to think like, what did this look like before? Like, it just evokes like critical thinking from the player of like.
I think God of War does that as well. I still think that like take Alfheim for example, when you're doing like you're going through that thing and then telling stories about the Civil War and like Freyr. And how like they like worshipped him essentially. Like, there's so many environmental bits that add to that, and like the things that the characters are saying. Same with like Vanaheim. It's like a barren wasteland, and the characters are also telling you it's like, this is what happened. This is what Asgard did to them. And
but that's like Jacob said, that's dialogue as well. Like, it's all. It's just characters saying these things.
I think it's
happened.
a mix.
Like, it's not the player being like, oh, like how, like I like putting it together in their head and maybe imagining how things could have happened. Like, that's what makes BioShock compelling to me, is like seeing, like, you could imagine what things were like before you've walked into this ruined place of horror. And but that's why I concede to a lot of people when it comes to BioShock that the audio diaries haven't aged as well as people think. Like, they definitely don't. The audio diaries are a pretty lazy way of dealing out exposition. Like, to think that everyone in the world was just sitting around recording audio diaries and talking to themselves is pretty preposterous. Like, it's definitely something that hasn't aged very well.
I was on and off with the audio logs in that game. I only really listen to audio logs if I'm really invested in a narrative, but some of BioShock's audio logs I didn't give a shit about.
Some of them, like, I mean, hell, I'll take that over a fucking wall of text that I read off like a book or a computer or something.
A note that you gotta like. The only ones I felt like relatively were decent, and like I like The Last of Us, but a lot, especially like the ones that are like shorter. But it was also cool because it felt like it was in that environment, because like, again, like people had got bit, so they like wrote a note like as they were like being prepared to turn. So like, I felt like that was in decent taste, you know. But no, I agree. I'd rather have an audio log than like just a blank wall of text majority of the time.
Yeah, no, that's like, because then you've got like the performance, and like it's more atmospheric. You can keep going in the world while it's playing. Like, I don't know, you can keep playing while that's in the background.
That's how I felt with Dead Space sometimes. Like, if I got a text log, I wasn't reading it, but if I got an audio log,
fuck that. Yeah, no, I'm moving on.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, nah.
If I got an
like,
audio
but
log,
honestly, because what someone actually Under the Mayo just did a video about how he thinks horror games tell bad, like he doesn't think they're good at telling stories. And I was so triggered at the title, and then I watched the full video, and I was like, he was just mainly bringing up how a lot of horror games use text logs and shit like that, and like no one wants to read that shit. And it's true. Like if like the only reason I know anything about the lore of Dead Space is because I like watched the animated movies that they made years ago.
Oh, right.
That told like the story of the Ishimura before everything went down, and they were so compelling. But I'm sure that same story that was in those movies would be in those text logs, but I couldn't be asked. So that's the only reason I know anything about the backstory. And I'm so glad I know more about the backstory of Dead Space, because it's a really good backstory about what happened to the Ishimura, but I would never know if it wasn't in a movie.
I think another game that kind of does it well, that kind of made me want to read the audio or the text logs that would pop up, was Hi-Fi Rush. I think that game has really good environmental storytelling. Like with its world build, it's kind of it's kind of
levels,
it's like a commentary on overworked people and bad corporations. I still remember
capitalism, anti-capitalism,
stuff like, I don't think it was stuff like that, but it's like, there's one moment that I still remember. It's like the game is so self-aware and it's hilarious. It's like, I think I told you about it. There's like, the one moment, Jacob, how far have you gotten into the game?
I think like about halfway still.
Did you get to the part with the green-haired guy where he's like wasting all this money on stuff to like stop you?
It doesn't sound familiar. it's genuinely. I mean, like I haven't played like since close to launch. It's been like, it sucks. It's been on my my Xbox like doesn't get a lot of love to it, but I need to go back and play it. But like, I don't, not that I recall.
So to describe it, it's like this dude's like sending a bunch of robots at you, and he's like wasting his budget against his boss's orders, and like he's got like these robots, and he's like bossing them around, and the dude's like looking at him through cameras, and he's like, I can't see him. The quality is it's unseeable. It's in 480p. It's like, that shit was so fucking funny to me, because
I get you.
It's just little shit like that.
Actually, I wanted to ask, like, now that we're on this Sony topic, maybe just as a blanket statement, what do you guys think the best Sony exclusive is that's come out?
God of War Ragnarok.
Of all time.
Really? Wow. Yeah.
Or like, are we talking like relatively more recently?
Would your answer change if it was of all time?
I don't know, because like Sly Cooper, or you know, like that's a Sony exclusive. Like like all the original, you know, the infamous games, like those
Ratchet
are Sony
Clanks,
exclusive.
the old Ratchet and Clanks. Jak and Daxter.
Yeah.
I would definitely be down for a multiplayer.
If we're going of all time, I'd have to say, damn, Infamous 1 or Jak and Daxter 1. I think Infamous 1 is like...
You like Infamous 1 better than Infamous 2?
Yeah, I just think the world is so much more well realized in Infamous 1. Like, really? Empire City feels so much better. But like the gameplay in 2 is a lot better. Like the actual combat and stuff.
And I didn't really like Cole's character that much until 2. Like 2 was
really interesting.
Yeah, 2 was really
I love 1 just because of the twist with Kessler and stuff. Like I just love that.
Was
like
great. Yeah.
God, like my first time playing that, I was like, holy fuck! Like it just felt so cool.
Dude, I want them to do like a nice package, like Infamous deal.
Yeah,
so
I
bad.
know. Like, they released a PS3 collection with both games. That you could buy. Yeah.
I gotta piss real quick, so.
Yeah, you're right, bro.
Yeah, I'll probably make this my last huzzah, because I definitely I got a meeting.
Yeah.
And it's late for me because it's early morning for you. Yeah.
It's like 1:00 p.m.
Oh, okay, right. But the oh my god, that sucks. I don't know, because like.
What would you say? Yeah, like of all time, and then maybe just what about in the last 10 years, like post Last of Us 1?
Yeah, like I love Last of Us 1. Like I really do. Like that game just like I can't express how that game makes me feel. But like again, I'm a huge fan of Sly Cooper, the Infamous games. Those are great Sony exclusives that are just completely underrated. Not underrated. Not underrated.
They're
really,
like forgotten now.
Yeah,
no
yeah, like
them.
just forgotten absolute great Sony games. I wish we still got those, especially like Sly Cooper. I love those games.
So what would you say? I know you really like God of War 2018.
I do, yeah, I do love, and I have the same feel of that as like I do The Last of Us. Is just like I can't even describe just like the way that those games make me feel and the way that I felt the first time I played them. So I'm inclined to say like one of those, and but like, dude, I wish I had like, because I know I'm like I got to be forgetting one.
Well, me personally, Ragnarok. It's literally my favorite game of all time. So it's like.
What about you, Dante?
What's your favorite game of all time? Like in the last 10 years, I'd probably say Bloodborne or Infamous Second Son.
Oh my god! Oh, I literally those are those tattoos from, bro.
yeah, the hunter symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably in the last 10 years, it was one of those two, I would say. Like, I loved Second Son when it came out, and I know a lot of people were underwhelmed with it when it came out, but I loved it. I still love it.
I did too. Second Son's great.
So, and Ragnarok is still really good, but I think I gave it like a 7 out of 10. I think it's still really good, but it's still held back by some weird design decisions that carried over from 2018. But of all time, yeah, probably Jak and Daxter Precursor Legacy or even Ratchet and Clank 1. Like, they're just such good.
Yeah, I love Ratchet.
Any of the Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter,
Ratchet and Clank. Those
Ratchet
are
and Clank. The trio, like, it was so good.
Yeah, those are great, man. Those are
or Infamous 1 as well. And I even really remember fondly the Resistance games as a
that's
kid.
interesting. That's Insomniac's like most just completely like, everyone forgot about those.
Abandoned, But I went back and played them more recently. I actually moved my PS3 up into my room because I was like, fuck it, I'm going to play. Because there's no way to play old games. There's no streaming in Australia, so you have to play them on the fucking PS3.
Dang, wow.
You could, you could emulate them.
Oh, yeah, but emulating a PS3 game, bro, have you tried that shit? Shit's hard. Like, they don't run. They run like ass, bro. Like,
I think it depends on the ROM. It depends on the ROM you get. Because most of the stuff that I get runs fine. Like I don't know. I got Skate 3, and I've been playing that shit.
Yeah,
it runs.
I try to emulate like Red Dead 1 on PS3, and it's like 16 frames a second. Like it's like good luck trying to play. But then you play it on the 360 emulator, it runs like butter. Like it's like perfect.
Yeah,
so,
it honestly.
PS3 was just an the PS3 was just an infamously hard system to develop for. Yeah. Like it was known for that. That's why. That's why so many games.
You know what's interesting about that? It's I was watching this movie. It's called Blackberry. Have you ever watched The Social Network?
Yeah.
It's like that mixed with The Big Short. It's like about the rise and fall of BlackBerry, the phone. Right. And like there was this dude, and he was talking about how he worked at Naughty Dog. And they had to essentially hack into Sony systems to make things like Jak and Daxter run properly. For that system, it was just interesting.
Yeah. Like I just remember developers saying how much of a pain in the ass. That's why the BioShock PS3 version took a whole other year to come out after the 360 one, because it was just a dog system to develop for. Developers hated it. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Resistance games don't really hold up as well as I thought. They didn't.
Yeah.
I really and 3 was actually really good. I actually didn't like 3 as a kid, but 3 held up a lot better than I realized. 1 and 2 are like, not very good. But
have you guys both played the Cybertron games, the Transformers ones?
Yes.
I don't think so. I haven't played Transformers game in a long time.
Those two games are so good, especially the multiplayer when they worked.
My last little hurrah that I will.
I got one more question for you, Jacob, before you go.
Okay,
but yeah, go on.
I was gonna say I do think one of Sony's like literally one of their most underrated, especially like in recent years, their most underrated exclusive is Returnal for the PS5.
Yeah.
I really like that game.
Yeah,
and I feel like nobody gives that game the time of day. I know it was difficult, and they did the whole thing where like you couldn't exit the console without losing your progress. So it's like that sucked, but you can do that now. And man, I think that gameplay rocks. Like that is a great bullet hell. And I think that's done by, is it Housemarque Studios? And so
I don't even know the developer, to be honest.
I think they did Resogun, which was super small scale, but it was a bullet hell. But now that it's like they got a big budget, and I think it did. Talk about running great. I mean, that game ran like butter to me. Yeah. I think that's so underrated for Sony, and I want to see what they're doing next for sure.
I think you said you're about to leave, right? I think the one of the two next conversations that I kind of just wanted to have with Jacob still here is Jedi Survivors combat versus Sekiro, and Resident Evil 4's gameplay versus Last of Us 2's. But if you're like leaving, it's fun.
I can give you quick thoughts real quick, but you, John T, you said you had something too.
Oh, we could save it for next time if you want, but I was just gonna ask like as a quick one because it's just one of the quicker topics on here. What's your guys' favorite art style in games, or game with the most?
I'd say the game I feel has my favorite art style. Probably, that's kind of tough.
It's hard.
Maybe Hi-Fi Rush. I don't think that's too much of a hot take. I feel like I just love that game's art style. Everything in that shit looks beautiful.
See, I'm like a hand-drawn guy, so like Cuphead and Hollow Knight, those are big for me. Like,
they both have great art styles.
Yeah, Cuphead does go hard. I really, really love those, and I always will appreciate like hand-drawn stuff, and like Hollow Knight is just the world of Hollow Nest and the enemy designs. Like, man, it's awesome, and like I said, Cuphead is incredible. So though. Without thinking too deep into a bunch of other things, because there's probably a couple other ones that I like a lot, but Cuphead and Hollow Knight are Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Someone just said Ori as well.
Yeah, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, also fantastic art direction. I mean, that game is drop dead gorgeous.
I was gonna say Have a Nice Death. The game that came out this year. Have a Nice Death.
Yeah, Have a Nice Death. Yeah, I saw that you talked about that. I've also seen not a lot of coverage of that, and I think that game's really good.
Yeah, I think some of the most interesting, at least recent, art style would definitely be Hi-Fi Rush. I think that game just looks so unique, and there's literally not a game that looks like it these days.
They slammed it, yeah, great.
It's so unique looking, but yeah, in terms of AAA games, like
I can't even think.
Everything is just hyper realistic now, man.
I can't even think about that shit.
Even like Souls games, like they have great designs and worlds and stuff, but I think that's more of an art direction thing, not style, like the actual style look of the game. Obviously, when Borderlands came out, that was a really fresh thing as well. That was cool.
Agreed.
Maybe 100%. Arkham Knight, because that game's sort of photorealism, but it's mixed with art style. That's why it looks so good. So maybe Arkham Knight.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I just hate games that are plagued with fucking like motion blur and grain and like. But that's in Arkham Knight. That shit's in.
I mean, you could turn that shit off on PC. I don't remember what it was like on console.
Nah, you can't. You can't on console. Like it's just like that. That's only been a recent thing. I think one of the first games to do that was God of War 2018, where you could turn, or maybe Last of Us, you could do it as well.
Uncharted 4 allows you to turn it off because people.
Uncharted 4, you could do it. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you could turn off the motion blur and the grain because it's so fucking ugly. Like it just ruins. It just ruins the look of a game. You just want to look at the world and you turn.
The first thing I do when I play a game, I go to the graphics settings, turn off motion blur and film grain.
Turn off motion blur. Turn off.
Literally. Cool. Well, I've actually got to head off as well, guys. But I gotta go mow my lawn.
I'm gonna hit you up with them questions later. But I know I was like, I'm getting tired, and like I gotta get up. I'm usually off tomorrow, but I got a meeting I gotta go to. I'm like, all right, great. So
now we'll have to do it again, maybe around when the Game Awards happen or something. Like
100%. I plan on. I think I'll be at the Game Awards this year. I should be going with a bunch of the other guys. So
wait, where is the Game Awards?
It's in LA. I don't know. It's at the. Because I'm assuming it might be where the because Summer Game Fest was at the YouTube Theater, so it might be there as well, or I'm sure it's close to there, so hopefully I should be going there as well. We all planned on it, we'll see when we go there. But yeah, definitely should. We had a surprisingly good run tonight, so
yeah.
So
audience seemed to like it.
Thanks for everybody who joined the live. This was nice. This was a lot of fun, and definitely have to do it again.
Hell yeah.
I think the tier list stuff would be fun, maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we that's what I was saying, Jacob. I was talking to Colin about it. We should do like a collective tier list and see
okay,
if we can,
yeah, I think the tier list stuff would be fun. I also would like to maybe do a Spider-Man 2 stream after that game comes out.
Yeah.
But I feel like I would.
Yeah,
I feel like me and Deadbeat might finish it a lot quicker than you, Jacob, because you got a lot of stuff going on.
Dude, I'm telling you, because see, like when it comes to like linear stuff like that, like I can crank. I swear to God, like when it comes to like Spider-Man 2, like I'm a lose sleep. I'm a hit like 4 a.m. nights. You know what I mean? Like I ain't like. Bro, I like when you told me I saw your video on when you beat Jedi Survivor, and I was like, bro, how did you beat that so quick? I beat it like 3 months after it came out or something. So I was like, God dang.
No, I beat it like.
Yeah, I was impressed when you beat it, Colin. So
I beat it like the second day it came out. I
know. I saw your video. I was like, no way.
Because I played it for like 8 hours at the because it's mostly because my sleep schedule is all pretty much backwards. So
yeah,
it's different for me. But like I played it at 12 when the midnight drop, and I literally played it for like 8 hours, and then I just nonstop played it the next day.
Yeah, no, but I'm like Spider-Man is one of those games like it gets my priority. I'm gonna be losing sleep and I don't care. Like I'm gonna just hammer through it. But those games are easier for me too. So we'll definitely got to do something when that comes out. Because
also probably won't be as long of an experience as like Final Fantasy 16.
Again, like and like Tears of the Kingdom. You know, like it's taking me it's taking me so long.
They said Spider-Man 2 is definitely gonna be a lot bigger than Spider-Man PS4 was. But we'll see.
Oh shoot.
Oh, what is this?
Yo, community guidelines. Permanent ban will ensue if live video does not end within 5 minutes.
Hang on.
What's up?
It's a fake account, bro. It's a fake account.
Okay, cool. I was like, I've never heard. I was like, I saw the same thing. I was like, what in the world? What a dick.
I just clicked on it. It's like a burner account or something.
Okay, cool. That's so tough. Well, because we were pushing like 3 hours almost.
Yeah,
I was like, the timing like almost looked legit. So, someone says this full convo going to be on YouTube. I think it'll give us the whole.
It's on my YouTube.
Okay, cool. I think it'll give us the whole clip from TikTok. Will so.
Yeah, if you want to watch it, go to Colin's YouTube. It doesn't go up like as soon as you log off.
Oh, cool. So, okay, awesome, sweet. Yeah, I'll be able to. Check it out there,
but I'll be uploading clips. I've been recording the whole thing, so I'll be uploading clips as well.
Yeah. I'll try to drive traffic if it's somebody said gotcha. Yeah, you did, you bastard. Okay,
cool,
well, like I said,
thanks so much for making time, everyone.
Oh yeah, man, that was awesome.
Yeah, we'll reconvene at a later date.
Absolutely. All right, again, gentlemen, y'all have a good night, man.
You too.
Appreciate everyone.
Yeah, you too. See you guys.
All right. Welp, that was the stream. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Kind of shit. I don't even know if my face cam will turn on, but what the fuck's up with this shit? Yeah, I don't know. Alright, well, my face cam won't turn on, but it's whatever. Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the stream. Gonna probably, I don't know when the next time I'll stream is, but I don't know. I got a couple videos coming soon. But yeah, I am about to end the stream. I appreciate y'all for watching. I appreciate any donations I got. If I accidentally missed them, because I know it's kind of hard to look at the chat while also having a conversation. But yeah, I appreciate y'all.